Good morning, everyone. How are we all? Sunday morning, the 10th of September. How quick's this year going? Went quick for us because we spent 5 months of it, the first 5 months on the road in the BT50. So yeah, it seems and thanks YouTube. But it said, Buck, you're going live. Hey, we'll do some shout outs like normal. Got lots of news this morning. Some of it's not good. Some of it is. We'll talk about the footy. We'll talk about heaps of shit. Then you can throw a few questions up. I'll see if I can answer them for you. You got something there you want to ask, or you've been wondering what I'm doing or what I'm doing in the future, throw a question up. Hold the questions for now, but I'll make sure my microphone's plugged in. Just let us know, someone, if you, Nathan, let us know if you got me loud and clear, guys, before I keep jibber-jabbering. 6 knots. Nicole K's on. Anthony Wicks. G'day, everyone. Yeah, so heaps to talk about this morning. Hold your questions for now. We'll just do some good mornings and say g'day. We'll go through a bit of the overnight news, talk a little bit of footy, and then towards the end you can throw some questions up. I'll try and whiz through them all, that'll be good. Loud and clear. Brendan Milner. Thanks, mate. Thanks for everyone who was on there waiting. Hope you've all got a copy. I just made one. And it's bloody that Macona, instant Macona doesn't bloody, what's that, dissolve real well. You got to sit there and you stir the shit out of it and it still doesn't dissolve. Who else? Michael Parter. G'day, mate. Loud and clear. Thanks a lot for that. Ray Newman's on. Tom Jag over from Kaz's channel from India. Thanks, mate. Hope you're well. Hope you're going all right. Thanks for joining us. For anyone that's come over, Nicole King, all those guys have come over from In the Trenches with Kaz's channel. Thank you so much. Totally different channel, the Buckaroony channel, guys. Me and Kaz are I'm interested in military stuff too. That's why I watch Kaz. But Kaz is pretty well solely the military style thing. I talk about all sorts of shit. I talk about anything, as you'll get to know. And I think that's what's good, because everyone can come on. Some things I'll talk about you probably won't be interested in. Some you will. But, yeah, just like talking about a bit of everything, and keeps everyone interested, hopefully. Especially sport, especially when the footy's on and we're into the semi-finals now. We'll talk about the Aussie rules too for all you Mexicans down there. We'll even talk about the Aussie rules this morning. Rob Kent, g'day, mate. Terry G's on. Terry's out camping at the moment with Steve Fuller, Steve and Annie from Soar Adventures, guys. You're still out camping, Terry? I'm tipping you're probably going to be packing up after the live feed and heading home. Lorna McMillan is at Carmilla, which I think is south of Mackay there. Lukey Reed's on, is he? Lukey Reed, the diddly donk from bloody Launceston, Tasmania. He's on. Where are you, Lukey? Give us a lock stat, mate. For those that don't know what a lock stat is, it's a location status. Lock stat, you get on the radio in the army and say, lock stat, you're asking someone where they are. Don't talk about the Cowboys. Yeah, you're not wrong, Frank Aussie. They were terrible this year, mate. They were very disappointing, along with Parramatta Eels and the South Sydney Rabbitohs. Those 3 teams should have been in the semi-finals, and they weren't good enough to get in there. And they licking their wounds. Hopefully they'll come back better next year, the Cowboys. Geez, they were disappointing, weren't they? They showed glimpses for about 5 or 6 games there of what they were like last year, and then the rest of the year was shite. It really was. That's his hem. Lock in your hubs 4-wheel driving. G'day, mate. G'day, all. Hope you're all having a great Sunday morning. Roz is out there at the moment cooking scrambled eggs and bacon under the grill, and I'll have some when I finish the live feed. I dare say it'll be cold by the time I get out there. Don't talk about, I am going to talk about the Sharks, Steve. Sorry, mate. That was a great. Annie Fuller's on. Hi, Buck. We go home tomorrow. Okay. Sunday. Oh, you must have had a long weekend, did you, Annie? Must have Monday off. So, it's good. Good when you can get a long weekend and get out camping, isn't it? Broncos will win the premiership. We'll talk about that, Frank, soon. They're looking good, mate, aren't they? But so are Penrith. I think Broncos and Penrith will be the 2 in the grand final. And it's been looking that way all year, hasn't it? They've been the two big teams, and they probably the two teams that deserve it. Jack Turtle is on, everyone. There's a turtle in the house. G'day, Jack. How are you, mate? Hope you and Marjo are going well down there in Harvey Bay. Lukey Alexander, Newy Joe, bacon and eggs for lunch. We've been giving the eggs a nudge lately. I can't eat eggs normally, guys. The only way I can eat eggs is if they're scrambled or in an omelette, and I put bloody, I don't know, other stuff in with it. I can't eat a fried egg. I'll spew up. I've never been, I used to be allergic to eggs. I think Mum said when I was a kid. I can eat them now, but only if they're scrambled or, you know, in a cake or something like that. I can't eat a bloody runny egg. I will vomit. Who else haven't we said g'day to? There's a few of them on here. We'll go back a bit in case I've missed someone. Nicole King, we've said g'day to Nicole. Geez, I need another sip of coffee. I'm having trouble getting my words out. Chrissy Anderson. Yeah, Pappenhausen. We'll talk about that. Ryan Pappenhausen from the Melbourne Storm. He's been gone for a year with a bad knee injury. He's come back and his first or second game back, and he's broken his ankle, the poor bugger. He doesn't deserve that. He's a fantastic player. And you just see that Jaral Yaoyi was another one who played for the Broncos and had a compound fracture of his ankle. He never was the same and had to retire after that. And he was played Queensland State of Origin. Some players just get dealt some bad cards. Right, we'll go Robbie Kent. G'day. Can we still buy Mr. Buckaroony shirts at all by any chance? I'm glad you said that, mate. Yes, you can. Brett at SMG can still get, I believe, Mr. Buckaroony merchandise for you. I'm sure Brett can still do it. I think he's still got some Mr. Buckaroony stuff in stock. Okay. Get on to Brett and make sure, and I tried it the other night because I got on. Brett had a couple of sets of stubby coolers left over, so I got on and bought them off Brett because when I closed the channel down, I left Brett with some stock on hand, and it wasn't really fair to Brett. So that's what happens when you make decisions when you're angry. And no, mate, we got 5 Unimogs here at Puckapunyal. I service them, pain in the ass. Phil McCavity, oh, well, there you go. The old Unimogs, they were pretty reliable, the old mogs, when I was in. Squirrel, what was I talking about? What was I talking about, everyone? I've just had a squirrel moment. A squirrel ran past me, and I lost my train of thought. Friggin' hell, I shouldn't have read that thing. I saw Phil McCavity's comment, and then a squirrel ran past, and I just forgot what I was talking about. No idea. Help me out. What was I talking about? It was in the middle of a conversation. Steve Wilkes is on over in Mexico. Guys, from Ensenada, over there in northern Mexico. Bit down from the California border there. I was talking about Pappenhausen. No, SMG Sports. Yeah. Brett can still do Mr. Buckaroony merch. So what I was saying is I got on there the other day, bought some stubby coolers. When I got on, I just went smgsports.com.au and the website doesn't come up for some reason. I don't know why. It's just an internet thing. You've got to go. You've got to put the www thing at the start for it to work. I don't know why that is. So www.smgsports.com.au. I don't think the Mr. Buckaroony tab is there anymore, but there is Mr. Buckaroony merch under the Legends for Charity. But the best thing to do is send Brett an email, guys. If you do want some Mr. Buckaroony merch, send Brett an email because he'll let you know what he can get, what he's got in stock and all that type of stuff. Probably best to talk to Brett in person. Email him at info@smgsports.com.au. info@smgsports.com.au. Email Brett and say, hey, Brett, what sort of Buckaroony merch you got left? Or if he hasn't got it, can you still get me an old traditional green shirt or something like that? And just remember, if we do sell any Mr. Buckaroony merch, the profits now will go into the Legends for Charity profit thing, guys. and for the big camp up that the boys are having next year down at Goombara, I think it's called, down near Warwick, and they're going to raise money for Care Flight and ARC Southern Queensland Animal Rescue Kennel or something. ARC Southern Queensland and the Care Flight Rescue, I think, are the two things. Drugs. Haven't touched drugs in my life, Matty. Squirrel equals drugs. No, haven't touched drugs in my life, mate. I'll tell you what I am going to do. I was going to tell you. I'll tell you later. It's not really to do with drugs, but I'm going to try something a bit different. Jack and Marjo put me onto it, guys, and I'm going to give it a crack soon. I'll talk about that. I've got it written down. Let you know what I'm doing. Already booked in. Pablo's on there. Yeah, so get on to info@smgsports.com.au. Just get on to Brett and say, hey, Brett, what's Buckaroony merch can I still get? I know you can still get some caps. I think Brett can do the old traditional shirts. There's about 11 different colours. I'm sure Brett will still be able to get them done up for you if you want some. And he's also got the After 5 polos, which look really smart. But, yeah, I've got one of the old traditional ones on today. The green, there's 11 different colours there. And I'll tell you what, at the Buckaroony event last year in Harvey Bay in August, seeing everyone walking around with all the bright coloured Mr. Buckaroony shirts, God, it looked good. There was fluoro green and yellow and hot pink and bloody green and maroon and all the different colours, blue. It looked really good, eh? I was pretty proud. I was up on stage looking out and seeing all the different coloured Buckaroony shirts. I was pretty proud, eh? To think there's about 1,300 of those worldwide. These shirts here, these ones, the old traditional ones with the Torres Strait and the Aussie flag and that on, and gold. Big picture of me and Roz on the back. There's about 1,300 of them out there somewhere worldwide, most of them in Australia, obviously, from Sweden to Russia to Thailand to bloody Vietnam, all these different countries. They're everywhere, and it's good. Who was it? Somebody was somewhere in the middle of friggin' nowhere the other day and said they saw a Buckaroony shirt. I laughed when they told me. And it was somewhere right out off the beaten track. Hey, Ty Fenwick's over in the States at the moment. Brad and Mary just got back from the States. Ty Fenwick's over there at the moment. He's currently driving to Kansas City. G'day, Ty. He said he was going to listen in. G'day, Ty. Hope you're well, mate. He's over there for work. Half your luck, mate. Hope you're enjoying it over there. I said to Ty, you're going to go and watch a Kansas City Chiefs NFL game. I've got an itchy nose. And because the NFL season's kicked off this weekend, the American NFL, the gridiron, has kicked off. And the Detroit Lions there's only been one game so far. I think the rest of the games are tonight and tomorrow for us. Mainly on Monday mornings, which is Sunday US. Most of their games are played on Sunday. Power! That's right. Here's me good mate, John Papp. It was in Newman. That's right. Papp's son works in the mines at Newman in Western Australia in a tyre shop, guys. And he does all the big tyres and everything. And someone walked into the tyre shop in Newman in the middle of northwestern Australia, a mining town, with a Mr. Buckaroony shirt on. And Deepak said, that's my uncle. And Deepak is Indian, guys. John and Dee bloody adopted 3 young Indian siblings, Sunita, Deepak, and Kiran, many, many, many years ago when they were little kids. And they brought them over from India from an orphanage. And they've gone on to, Sunita's now a childcare thing. Kiran went on and joined the army and now working on the docks in Brisbane. And Deepak's kicking goals, guys, working out in the mines. He's out in Newman. They've gone on to do some really good stuff. And they've always called me since they were little kids because me and Pap are best mates. Been best mates since 1984 in the army. And that's John P there, guys. If you've seen the clip, Mick Papadopoulos's Greek honey puffs, That's his son there, John Papadopoulos. G'day, mate. And yeah, his 3 Indian adopted kids have gone on to do fantastic things. I'm so proud of them. And they still call me Uncle Buck to this day. And Deepak saw the shirt and said, that's my uncle. And I think someone's probably thinking, hang on, you look Indian. How can you be Buck? You be your uncle. But they do. They call me Uncle Buck to this day. And they're all adults and now and gone on to do some really good things. And I said, Kieran went on and joined the Australian Army. Isn't that fantastic to see? Following in his dad's footsteps. Pap did 23 or 24 years in the Army. Pap got out as a Warrant Officer Class 1, guys. Freddie B. Jonah Wigley. Good to know. Jonah's saying g'day to Nathan Schilling. Hey, did everyone see Nathan's last post in Reveille on the, it wasn't bugle, it was a trumpet, I think. Was it a trumpet or a bugle, Nathan? I don't know the difference. Trumpet's got them things, hasn't it? The bugle hasn't. And Nathan did the last post. It's up on my Facebook page, Mr. Buccarini Facebook. Check out Nathan playing the last post. Fantastic, mate. Gee whiz, I wish I could do it. I might give you a demo of my last post on the bugle before we go. Give me a reminder, guys, and I'll see how far I've progressed. You'll be proud of me, Nathan. Not Saxon Overland's on. I often see people around Castle Hill area of Sydney wearing Buckaroonie shirts. Oh, good stuff. Hope you're well, mate. Hope you're well down there in Sydney, putting up with all the traffic and all that stuff. What happened with the Caravan, Frank Aussie? We sold it, mate. I wasn't happy with it. I was disappointed with the Jawa Sirocco, mate. It's just one problem after another, and I got rid of it. And even when I went to sell it, it failed the roadworthy. All the brakes were chewed out on it, and it was less than 12 months old. Absolute bullshit, and I sold it. Hopefully the new owners have better luck with it than what me and Roz did. It had some good points, mate. It had a lot of bad points. If anyone said, Buck, would you buy another Chinese Caravan? No, I would not. The only reason I bought it, it was the only thing I could afford. I couldn't afford an Australian one. So now, guess what Caravan I got? None. And I'm never buying another one ever again. Got a bit of cabin fever too, mate. Living in a 15-foot Caravan full-time wasn't for me. That was the main reason. Even me and Roz, we got down to Tasmania, and after 5 months, we just looked at each other one day and said, we're over this, living in a Caravan. It was just watching the old bank account drain out too wasn't good. You know, the cost of fuel, the cost of caravan parks and food, and we're just, our bank account was doing one of them things. Anyway, for those who do love living in a Caravan full-time, good on yous. It wasn't for me. Jake, been following you for years. How did you get some name, Mr. Buckaroonie? It's Newport. Oh, g'day, mate. How are you? Newport. There you go. I would have noticed the name if it was Newport. My last name's Rogers, mate. Rodgers. There was a show in the 80s on TV called Buck Rogers in the 25th Century. It was he used to be an astronaut, and it was a bit like Star Wars and that. Buck Rogers. And because in the Army, everyone has a nickname. And because my last name was Rogers, I got the nickname Buck, and it's stuck ever since, mate. So it's after Buck Rogers in the 25th Century. It's a TV show back in the 80s. Put it up on Google, put Buck Rogers in the 25th Century. The actor's name was Gil Gerard, who played Buck Rogers. And he had a little robot that used to be in the back of his spaceship called Twiggy, and they used to shoot down all the baddies. Yeah. No, Phil. Hey, save your questions till later, guys. What I will do, just so no more questions, what I'll do is I'll go through, we'll talk about a bit of overnight news, and then we'll come back and I'll answer. I'm going to answer every question. So just hold your questions and we'll go from there. No, I didn't get to see Timmy Bates, and there's a reason for that, Phil. I was going to catch up with Tim. I was in contact with him. Tim did himself a mischief and ended up in hospital, mate. I said, Tim, where are you? He goes, I'm in hospital. That's when he was up on top of his patrol, and the door opened, and Tim snapped his hamstring on top of it and ended up in hospital and in a wheelchair for a while. So, yeah, hold your questions, guys. So, good and bad news. I put a thing up saying the Inisfail Leprechauns they're in the Cairns District Rugby League, guys. The Inisfail, Tully, Yarrabah. There's a heap of Cairns teams and surrounding Portman, Mossman, Port Douglas, Mareeba Gladiators, Atherton Roosters. It's that the CDRL it's called. Anyway, the Inisfail Leprechauns got into the green final in both the reserve grade and the A grade. Well, last night the green final was on in the Cairns, and I think Inisfail took out the under-13s in the juniors, the under-13 thing. We also won the reserve grade green final. Well done to those fellas. And we went down, bugger it, 24-22 in the green final last night to Cairns brother. So Inisfail brothers, we just call ourselves the Inisfail Leprechauns, Leps. Billy Slater used to play for the Leps guys, and we played against the big team. They've always been the big team, is Cairns brothers, and they won 24-22, a close game. And I'm pretty sure George Burgess, one of the twins that played for South Sydney guys, one of the big Pommy twins, George Burgess, he plays for Cairns brothers. So it's you still got some big name players playing in that. And the Inisfail boys went down in the A grade last night, but what a good effort to get in the reserve grade and the A grade both into the green final. So well done to the reserves. Bad luck to the A grade, beaten by 2 points in the green final. Anyway, there's always next year, but, for a small town, the boys did us proud, especially in a pretty competitive rugby league competition. Now, we'll go on to the NRL just quickly. Broncos, 26-0 over the Melbourne Storm. Convincing. The Melbourne Storm were off their game, guys. I don't know if it was Brisbane were very good or the Storm were very bad or a bit of both. But the Broncos are looking good. I was waiting for the wheels to fall off the Bronx, and it hasn't happened, guys. I think they might get all the way to the green final. Storm were off their game, weren't they? They just weren't on. And poor old Ryan Pappenhausen's just come back from a year on the sideline with a smashed knee, and he went into a tackle and bloody broke his ankle, and he just had an operation. There is some good news, is they think he could be ready for game 1 next year. Poor bugger. No one deserves that, do they? He's a fantastic player. He really is an electric player, and he broke his ankle but second game back, broke his ankle. Penrith Panthers, how good are they looking? Nathan Cleary, they said the cream rises to the top this time of the year. You are not wrong. Nathan Cleary, what a fantastic player he is. He really is. Penrith Panthers, 32-6 over the poor old Warriors, who lost their best player the day before the game. Dear, oh dear, Sean Johnson, they needed him, and they looked ordinary without him. So Broncos and the Panthers are off. They get a week off now. And last night, fantastic game between Sydney Roosters and the Cronulla Sharks. I was going for the Sharkies. The Roosters hung in there, guys. I thought they were going to get done, especially when bloody Tedesco went off to the sin bin. But they come back and Sammy Walker put a field goal over, and well done to the Roosters. They hung in there. So Sharks are out now. Who else? The Storm and the Warriors, they're still in it, guys. They're still in it. And the game today is between Newcastle Knights and Canberra. Whoever loses out of that game is gone for the year as well. I'm tipping Newcastle might. Newy Joe. Panthers, and 24. Newy Joe reckons Panthers will win. I think Penrith will win this year too, mate. I think it'll be a Penrith-Brisbane grand final. I think it'll be a fantastic game. Maybe the Bronx, maybe they might lose the grand final and come back and win in 2024. Who knows? So there's a couple of cents. So Brisbane and Penrith get a break now, guys. I'll talk about the Aussie rules as well. If you're down south, hang in there, bear with me. So next week, there's going to be a couple of semi-finals, and they'll be knockouts. So the Melbourne Storm get a second chance because they finished in the top 4. The Storm will now take on the Roosters in that semi-final, and the Warriors, who get a second chance, will take on the winner of Newcastle or Canberra, which is played this afternoon. So I'm tipping it's going to be Storm, Roosters, Warriors, Newcastle maybe. Newcastle, I don't mind Newcastle. I don't mind Canberra either. I think Newcastle will win that one. And then it'll be in the preliminary final to get in the grand final, it'll be then the Broncos versus Storm or Roosters, and then the Panthers versus either the Warriors, Newcastle or Canberra, one of those three teams. So it's all unfolding. So yeah, still some, but I think the two big teams that have got a rest next week, Penrith and Brisbane, I think they might go through to the grand final. I think Penrith in the grand final. Sharks blew too many tries. They did. Nicho Hines, it was like he was trying too hard last night. Anyway, hopefully Broncos win. Anyone, but yeah, I know. If it's a Broncos-Penrith grand final, I'll certainly be barracking for the Broncos. Penrith's won 2 grand finals in a row now. If they win 3 in a row, they deserve it. They're a very good team. They are. They really are. Justin Dillon, the diddly donk from down in Melbourne, guys, the fiery down there, wants to know, is Wally Lewis playing in the finals? I reckon Wally could still strap the boots on and still go all right, I reckon. He was a tough footballer in his day, Wally Lewis. He wasn't as skillful as Thurston and Andrew Johns and Nathan Cleary and that, but he was tougher than him, let me tell you. If there was one bloke you wouldn't want to come up against in a pub when he's in a bad mood, it would have been Wally Lewis in his day. I reckon he would have gone like a thrashing machine, Wally. He was a tough dude. He really was. What's some of the test matches between Australia and New Zealand? New Zealand were getting a bit grubby and the niggle, and Wally just started belting people, guys. He was tough. He was bloody battered above his weight. He really did. How you going? Good to see you, mate. Simman85. Good, Simman85. I'm going well, mate. Going real good. Hey, we'll talk quickly about the Aussie rules. I don't follow the Aussie rules, guys, but I thought I don't want to be an ignorant prick and not talk about the Aussie rules because I know there's guys, Justin and all you Mexicans and that there, like to hear about the thing. So the two big teams, we're talking about Brisbane and Penrith in the league. Well, the two big teams equivalent to those in the Aussie rules at the moment are probably Collingwood and Brisbane. So they've gone on and won their first semi-final, and now Brisbane Lions, which being a Queensland team, I'm going to go for them. I guess I'll get on the Brisbane Lions bandwagon. And so Collingwood and Brisbane have a break now, and basically Collingwood will play the winner out of the next final, which is Port Adelaide, who Brisbane flogged. So this is next week's games. Brisbane towed up Port Adelaide. So it switches over now. So Collingwood will take on the winner of either Port Adelaide or Greater Western Sydney. Good to see them up there. And Brisbane are going to take on the winner between Carlton and the Melbourne Demons. So there you go. I'm tipping Collingwood-Brisbane grand final. I reckon that'll be a great game too. I hate Collingwood, and the only reason I hate Collingwood is because everyone else hates them. Apparently you go for two teams. Two teams, the one that you barrack for and anyone playing Collingwood is the whole thing, unless you're a Collingwood. Go the Pies. Ed's camping. He goes, he's a Magpie supporter. So there you go. We're looking at maybe Penrith, Brisbane are the two big teams in the rugby league, and Collingwood, Brisbane. We'll see how it pans out. Don't write all the other teams off. There's other teams that have still got to play a semi-final yet, guys. But certainly Penrith and Brisbane get a week off, a week's rest. And usually that's good. Anyone with a niggling injury, and Collingwood and Brisbane get a week's rest now and watch the other teams bash each other up. So Demons will be back. They won it last year, didn't they? The Melbourne Demons. It was the first time in a long time. Go Greater Western Sydney. It will be good to see them make it. Well, it's good to see one of the newer teams in the competition come up and do well, isn't it? And there you go. And they're a bloody New South Wales team as well, Greater Western Sydney. And they're in the semi-finals. Good on them. Aussie Matt just moved up to Cairns from Adelaide for work. Still can't get my head around the NRL. Get in there. Get on the Cowboys, Aussie Matt. Get on the Cowboys, mate. They're useless, but if you're living in Cairns, you've got to be a Cowboys fan. Got to go for the Cowboys. You'll enjoy Cairns, mate. I live an hour south of Cairns. don't know if I want to live in Cairns anymore. It's getting a bit busy up there for me now. I'm one of these guys who just likes country towns, guys, and likes taking life easy. I go up to Cairns. I don't mind going up to Cairns with Ros for a day, have a coffee and walk around the shops. And then by the end of the day, me and Ros go, let's get out of here. Let's get back to Inisfail. There's too many people. So that's what we're like. If the Pies lose, I feel like I've won the Premier. Robbie Kent, he's one of the guys I'm talking about. Nathan Schilling's going to crack a beer already. Seeing it's a Sunday. Why not, Nathan? There's 10 o'clock. Pub's open at 10. Crack a beer if you want, mate. No one's saying you can't do it. I'm off the piss, guys. I'll go on to me diet. My diet's going all right. I've been staunch for a week now. This is my 7th day. Just no carbs, no bread, no rice, no pasta, no sugar, no shit food, nothing out of a packet. I'm just eating meat, vegetables, and fruit. And a tiny little bit of yogurt, like a scoop of yogurt in a fruit smoothie. Come home from the gym and I usually bloody put a scoop of protein powder in, some blueberries, a banana, and some water and some ice cubes, and that just make like a protein smoothie after the gym. I'm going all right. I've lost a couple of kilos, but they reckon this keto, I don't know if it's a keto diet, but you go into ketosis after about 3 or 4 days, and then your body says, oh, I've got no carbohydrates in me. I'll start living off the fat. So I need to drop. I was the heaviest I've ever been, guys, up to 106 kilos. I'm supposed to be 95. When I was in the army, I was 95 kilos and I was fairly fit. Now I'm up, and just 2 years of not working, having a couple of beers every night, it's caught up with me, and I nip it in the bud. So I'm down to 100. I was on the scales in the gym yesterday. I was 104.5. My first goal is to get under 100, and then I'm going to try and slowly get down to 95 again. I'll see how I go. But, yeah, just typical bloke, carrying too much weight around my guts now, guys, and it's all from lack of exercise and just drinking beers every night. And I'm not talking a lot, just having 1 or 2 beers every night. But if you do that every night, it adds up. So I'm staying off the piss for 2 weeks, and then I'm only going to have a beer on a Friday and a Saturday when I'm doing a cook-up out in the backyard or whatever. During the week, stay off it. When I go back on the carbs, guys, rice or a pasta dish once a week only. Otherwise, it's going to be protein and vegetables. That's it. And you know what? I feel better for it. Since I've been eating healthy, eating clean, I'm feeling better. And I was in the gym yesterday, and I come out of the gym, and I felt really good. It's the lightest and the best I've felt in a long time, in years. So what I don't feel good in, but is my body is riddled with arthritis, guys, from my old army days. That's why I'm on an army pension now. I've got medical problems as far as, like, I'm healthy, but my body has been put through the ringer, guys, and I've got arthritis in my shoulders. I can't sleep at night because of the pain in my shoulders. My hips have got arthritis in them, my knees, my ankles, you name it. So, g'day, Steve. How are you, mate? Jack and Marjo said, Buck, when I saw him down there in Harvey Bay at the start of this, said, get on the CBD oil, Buck. And I thought, I was going to, and then I saw the price of it for a start, about $300 a bottle. CBD is cannabis oil, guys, but they take the THC, the bad druggy stuff out of it. THC is taken out, and the CBD oil. So it's not illegal. It's a prescription thing, but it's certainly not illegal. It's not like you're smoking a joint or something like that. Anyway, I've had a couple of friends go on the CBD oil. Jack Turtle's wife, Marjo, guys, she's on it for arthritis and that, and says it works wonders. And a mate of mine who's similar to me, he was in the army for 15 years, and he's riddled with arthritis in his hips. He said, Buck, I just got on the CBD oil. He said, I have not popped a Panadol or anything since I've been doing CBD oil. He said, get on it. And the good thing is because I've got a DVA gold card, I can go to the doctor. I've got an appointment in Cairns on the 23rd to see a doctor who will, hopefully I've got to do a questionnaire, prescribe me CBD oil, and DVA pick up the tab for it, guys. It's a recognised thing now through Department of Veteran Affairs, and it costs, instead of costing me $300 a bottle, I get a big subsidy on it. So through DVA. So I'm going to give the CBD oil a go, because at the moment I can't get through a night. I wake up in the morning, my shoulders have seized up. I can't sleep with me arm above me head because the arthritis pain in my shoulders. And I've been going to the gym, so I feel good from that. But I don't know. It's not making the pain go away. So I'm going to go on the CBD oil, guys, and I'll give it a crack. And I've spoken to a few people who are on it, and they said it friggin' works, because I'm on Panadol Osteo, Panadol Duo, prescription drug called Meloxicam or Mobic or whatever I think it's called for my hips. And I just don't find they work. So I'm going to give CBD oil a go, guys. If anyone's on CBD oil, I know Jack and Maya, yeah, I'll get on it, Jack. I'll tell you what, it's not cheap, but luckily for me, DVA picks up most of the tab, so it's not going to be me. Buck the pothead. And here you go, guys. And the reason I'm a little bit, when I used to hear about CBD oil, I thought, fucking, I don't want to be a druggie, or, like, there's no THC in it. You can still drive with it. They take the bad stuff out. Anyway, I've seen some stuff on TV where someone with like bad, can't even walk properly, they got him on the CBD oil, and this guy can function now. Like, I don't know what. None of that shit works. I think Jack's talking about the tablets now, Jack, all the Panadol and the Mobic and all that type of stuff. Apparently, if your Panadol ruins your kidneys, mate, be careful of that. I know, but it gets to the stage, I used to hate even taking a Panadol, but I'm at the stage now where I'm popping pills now just to try and get a couple of good hours sleep in. But Panadol on that seems to do nothing. So my mate's got, similar to me, arthritis pain and bloody joint pain and everything. And he said, mate, I have not popped the tablet since I started on the CBD oil. He said, go see a doctor, DVA, pick up the tab, most of it. And he said, start using it. So, but anyway, we'll give it a go. I've never touched drugs in my life, guys. Never, ever touched an illicit drug in my life. And I swear on me bloody mum's grave, my dad's grave with that. I've never touched drugs, but CBD oil, all the bad stuff's been taken out of it. And, medicinal cannabis, they call it. So I won't be smoking it, guys. It's an oil. You just put it with a bit of yogurt or something in the morning for breakfast. And apparently it acts as a anti-inflammatory, and it settles your joints down. And my mate and someone Roz knows a couple of people on it, and they said it works miracle. So it's worth giving it a go, isn't it? Even Ken could use the CBD oil. Yes, he could. He could. Absolutely, Jack. I know the Gidgee Gorilla, guys. He's same as me. His back is rooted. His back's probably worse than mine. The trouble is, mine's now spread into my shoulders and my bloody hips and all that. I had a SPECT CT scan. I've said this before. They put a dye in you, and then they do an MRI or a CT scan. And I went to the orthopedic surgeon, and he flicked his machine on, and he said, wherever you got white parts on your body is where you've got trauma. He flicked it on, and he said, mate, you've lit up like a Christmas tree. And he just looked at me and said, mate, you've put your body through the ringer over the years, haven't you? I said, yep. Army, rugby, just police, correct, just wear and tear, basically. But, the arthritis pain. Buck Marley. So I'm going on the CBD oil. My diet's going well. Hey, shout out to Brett Schakowsky, guys. Bretty was he worked down there in the Burdick and south of town. So Brett, he said he'd try and come on this morning. Brett, if you're out there, mate, hope you're going well. Brett's going through some shit times at the moment too, like we all do, guys. Bretty, hang in there, mate. As I keep saying to everyone, light at the end of the tunnel. And don't forget that. There's always light at the end of the tunnel, mate. You'll punch through the other end. Remember that? We'll always punch through the other end. Unless you get some sort of bloody, cancer or the one that scares me, motor neurone disease, guys. And I'll tell you what was sad the other day. Remember Carl Webb used to play for the Broncos and the Cowboys in Queensland and Australia? Carl Webb, the enforcer, they used to call him. He was a really good footballer. Carl Webb got motor neurone disease. I had a mate pass away from it. Carl Webb the other day at a Cowboys game with Jonathan Thurston, and Carl's now in a wheelchair. It was sad to see. It really was. And there's no cure for that bloody disease. Freddie Boots knows all about it too. And we still wear our socks and that on our trip down there. Freddie, we're wearing our motor neurone. And Roz said the amount of beanies getting around, motor neurone disease beanies that getting around to make people aware of it. And if there's one thing that I hope they find a cure for, it's that bloody thing, that motor neurone disease. It is terrible. I saw a friend pass away from it, and it was horrific. It really was. Big, strong, strapping lad, and ended up in a wheelchair, and his wife caught him one night trying to wheel himself into the pool to drown himself because he said, I don't want to live like this. And he knew he was going downhill. And the last time I saw him, I was nearly tearing up. It was sad. It was sad to see, to think only 12 months ago you were bloody a police officer, or you're out there bloody arresting baddies, and big, strong, strapping lad, and he got motor neurone disease, and 12 months later he was dead, guys. It was sad to see. Justin Dillon saying we lost a friend to it as well. Freddie, we might have you on one night, mate, to talk about it, if that's something you will want to do. I hope you don't mind me saying Freddie lost his wife to it as well, guys. Danny Bowes. And Danny gave us some beanies and bloody socks and all that motor neurone stuff, and we wore them on our holiday, mate. If it's something you want to come on and talk about one night, Freddie, and if you don't, mate, that's fine. And just as an awareness thing for motor neurone disease, get in touch with me, mate. We might talk about it. It's not a nice subject, but I've had a good friend pass away from it. Your wife, we probably know a lot of people, and seeing Carl Webb the other day on the sideline, who was just once the enforcer, just a big, brutal rugby league player at the highest level, is now withered away in a wheelchair. It was bloody sad to see. Brent A said, love the cook-up last week. Great to see. Yeah, I enjoyed doing it too, the tomahawk steak. And I reckon, guys, I don't want to go film camping trips anymore. I'm kind of, as I said, I'm kind of over that. But I did enjoy doing the tomahawk steak cook-up the other day, I must admit. And, yeah. Dicko's destination, I got my doctor to it. Not sure. Dicko lost his doctor to it. So his doctor passed away from motor neurone. Neil Danaher also, that's right. Yeah, Robbie Kent, a very well-known Aussie rules player, guys. Neil Danaher, who played for Essendon, was it? Don't quote me on that, guys. I think Neil Danaher, he's one player I've heard of. I think he was an Essendon player suffering from motor neurone disease, an AFL legend. Yes, that's right. Pump Koala's on. Toddy, g'day, mate. How are you? G'day, Buck. You're looking good. I wouldn't say that, mate. You must have just woken up and you've still got sleep in your eyes. I love your camper trailer, mate, with a koala coming out. That's a bloody beauty. Pump Koala. Get on and check his channel out, guys, and his camper trailer. A coconut curry chicken again for old time's sake. I've got it up there where I actually scrape the coconut. I might do that again, mate. I might do another coconut curry. Everyone, that's the most popular dish that we've ever cooked. My chair, the gas is going out of it. Neil Danaher's raised so much money and awareness for motor neurone. Yeah, that's right. And in the rugby league, they always do the, my memory, Squirrel again. I'll think of his name in it. The Mark Hughes. Mark Hughes for brain cancer is another one. The rugby league get really well behind that. And cricket get behind cancer for the Glenn McGrath Foundation or the Jane McGrath Foundation, don't they? It's fantastic to see. Frank Aussie, am I using the Renegade? No, mate. I've had it out once. But I looked at it in the shed the other day. I pulled it out, hooked the hose up, ran the motor. She started first pop. She's going well. It's had a service since I've been home. And, yeah, I've got to get her out, mate. I'm going to do that. It's always bloody windy and rainy up here, mate. Like it's just one of those things. And unless you sit in the river, you try and go outside the mouth of the river, the southeasterlies, the friggin' swell's out of control, mate. It's just, I wish I lived somewhere like Hervey Bay where Fraser Island shelters you from that southeasterly winds. But, although, mate of mine, he was out on the reef the other day and he went out to this sandy cay and they were snorkeling. It looked absolutely beautiful out on the barrier reef. My goodness, you should have seen it. The water was like crystal clear, guys. It really was. Yeah, Jake, Brothers Curry was beautiful as well. Tell you what I did, a big omelette the other night, and it was a big fancy. I might do that over the campfire. One of me famous bloody Buck Rogers omelettes. Tell you what, it come up all right too. Panthers, mate. I'm not going for the Panthers. I think Penrith will win, but my money will be on the Broncos. You know, I'd love to see win. It's not going to happen. The Warriors. I'd love to see the Wars win, but Sean Johnson was out. They're not going to get through, let's face it. I don't think they're good enough. I wouldn't mind seeing Newcastle win it. I don't think they will. I think we're going to see Penrith and Broncos in the grand final. I think Penrith will win it, but I'll be going for the Broncos, mate. I'll be going for the Queensland team. Don't you worry about that. I used to be, like most Queenslanders, I used to be a Broncos fan before 1995, and then when the North Queensland team came in, I switched over to the thing. Roz's brother, if you don't know, guys, Roz's brother, Pat Savage, played for the Broncos in 1992-93, back when they were the big team on the block. Paddy Savage played 14 or 16 games on the wing for the Brisbane Broncos. Very good player. Pat's coming back to Cairns soon. He's a school teacher up in the Torres Strait, Paddy, and he's him and Tess are coming back down to Cairns, coming back from they've been up the Torres Strait for a long time. Paddy's getting a transfer back down to Cairns, back to some civilization, and going to be a school teacher at one of the Cairns schools. Yeah, Warriors or Knights, I'd like to see one of those teams win it, but it's not going to happen, mate. Let's face it. I think Penrith are too slick, mate. Penrith, when Cleary's on, they're unbeatable, mate. That Nathan Cleary, I said it last night in a comment on one of the rugby league sites. I said Nathan Cleary in many years' time will be an immortal. He'll be in there with Johns and Thurston and Wally Lewis and that. He'll be an immortal if he keeps going the way he's going. He's got to prove himself at state of origin and international level yet, but at NFL level, he's unbelievable. Where's my loyalty to the Cowboys? I still go for the Cowboys, Harry. Absolutely, mate. I'm still a bloody... I can't go for the Cowboys anymore, mate. They're not in it. They didn't make the semi-finals. They're useless. They didn't even make the semi-finals. So next year I'll be back on the Cowboys. And I'll tell you what, we wouldn't have played better than we did this year because it was nowhere near good enough. Hey, some more sad news. Fat Pixie, g'day. Knights will knock the Warriors out next week. Hey, you've got to get through Canberra this afternoon, mate. Don't count your chickens. Got to get through the Raiders yet. I think you will, but you've got a game this afternoon. That'll be a good game, actually. I might sit back and watch that one. Bloody Morocco last night, guys. Earthquake. Over 2,000 dead in an earthquake in Morocco. Dear, oh dear. What some countries do to deserve this shit? Honestly, just people sleeping. 11 o'clock at night it hit 6.8 or something on the Richter scale, and there's over 2,000 dead. You can imagine that's it only happened last night, and they're saying 2,000 dead. That'll blow out. Be like the Maui fires. The Maui fires, that blew out the death toll on that. That was horrific, wasn't it? Absolutely horrific. And I don't think they're getting a lot of good support over there in Hawaii from the American government. Boy, oh boy. Yeah, Cowboys need to get rid of Townsend. Absolutely, Comjag. He needs to go. Chad Townsend, he's a liability to us, mate. He's not as good as he thinks he is. His kicking game's terrible. We need to get rid of him. We've got Jake Clifford coming back next year. I think we need to let Chad Townsend go, mate, because while he's there, we ain't going to win. Righto, what else we got? Nah, Bronx all the way. Isaac B's going for the Broncos. Good stuff. We got over 100 on, guys. Wow. Only just noticed that. 102 on. Well done. Hope you're enjoying your Sunday morning. You're probably going, but shut up. Stop jibber-jabbering. I'm supposed to be out mowing the lawn. The missus is up me because I'm not out mowing the lawn. What else we got here? Oh, more sports, more exciting sports news. The Invictus Games has just started for veterans. Prince Harry's just opened the Invictus Games in Germany. Aussie team's got about 30-something people. Damien Irish, are you over there, mate? A mate of mine used to go to the Invictus Games. Irish was in the army, and he's competed in a couple of Invictus Games. I'm not sure if Irish is over in Germany this year. Be good if you are, mate. Let us know. Send us a message if you see this. Did you go to the Invictus Games this year? And apparently Harry did a very stirring speech at the start. And apparently there's a team there. The Invictus Games, if you don't know, is for injured soldiers and that, guys that have been overseas and been wounded in battle and that. And it's all for every country except Russia, I suppose. But Ukraine's got a team in this year, apparently. Isn't that fantastic to see? It's been held in Germany for all the coalition forces. And Harry, because Harry was he served over in Afghanistan and that as well a couple of times, guys. Prince Harry. A lot of people like to rubbish Harry. He's done a lot for his country, guys. He was bloody in the army. He was an Apache helicopter pilot. He's done a lot of shit, Harry. And a lot of people forget what he's done for his country, Prince Harry. And he got the Invictus Games up and running. And it's a fantastic thing. More good news. The World Cup basketball. The Yanks got beaten. They got beaten by Lithuania in round 2. And Germany knocked them out the other day. Germany beat the United States. A lot of people, the Yanks are on there. Oh, we only sent our 10th best team or whatever. Well, it's the World Cup. Why didn't you send your best team? It's a bit of arrogance there, I think. All the big names, LeBron James and all that. Oh, the World Cup, that's not big enough for us. Big egos. Anyway, Lithuania beat them in round 2. And Germany beat them in the semi-final the other day. It was good to see. So Germany are now playing Serbia in the grand final for the World Cup basketball, and third place playoff between Canada and the United States. Go Canada. Go Canada. I hope Canada beat them. So Germany beat the Yanks, and the Yanks got beaten in the female soccer as well. So, yeah, I don't know what's going on over there. They're too busy fighting between themselves, the Yanks, aren't they? They're not as good as they once were. Simon Somerville. Hope I got that right. Simon Somerville. Kia ora from New Zealand. G'day, Simon. Hope you're well over the ditch there with Phil Webber. The Warriors didn't go well, but as soon as you lost Sean Johnson, mate, and the bloody All Blacks got rolled by the French in the Rugby World Cup's on at the moment. The Rugby Union World Cup has started over there in France. I think it's been held, and the All Blacks got done. The All Blacks aren't as invincible as they once were, guys. They've come back to the field. Wallabies, they won their first game against Georgia. The Wallabies couldn't beat Eggs anymore. They aren't going to be there at the end. They reckon Ireland and France could be the two, and the Springboks, guys, Hein Herselman's team, the Boks, they'll be there. So, yeah, the All Blacks, they need to bounce back now. They got beaten by France in the first game. Wests pick up all the bills. I'm not sure what's happened there. Shouldn't it be the West Mavs? Someone's having a chat there about the West. Isaac, I tell you what, Cohen S has got to be one of the biggest disappointments in the past 20 years. He was hyped up so much like 5 years ago, stayed away, and hasn't done. Yeah, I know, mate. Cohen Hess, he started off like a house on fire, like his first or second year. He got into the Origin team, and I don't know, mate. He seemed to lose all that weight, and he lost all his power and energy to go with it, which isn't good. What else have I got here? Basketball, the rugby's on. There's heaps of sports on. Righto, I might go in. That's about all I wanted to talk about. Hey, I was thinking of doing a live feed, guys, and we're going to talk about Chinese four-wheel drives. There's a few on the scene now, isn't it? LDV, and I saw another thing the other day, a Chinese thing that looked like a Dodge Ram ripoff. It was like a Chinese Ram that's coming to Australia. I forget the name of it now. I've got to do some more research. We might do a live chat one night and talk about Chinese four-wheel drives and are they worth getting? When you look at the price difference between that and a Hilux or a Ranger or whatever, we might have a chat about all not just China, overseas, Mahindra and all that. Are they worth having a crack for? You get one for 40 or 40-something thousand. It's got all the bells and whistles on it. Or do you pay 60 grand for a better thing? Anyway, it's something we'll talk about in the next live feed. Nicole K, a really good friend of mine, got selected to be the flag. I'll highlight this. I forgot I could do this. That's the wrong one. It moved just as I was. A really good friend of mine got selected to be the flag bearer this year at the Invictus Games. So proud of Lenny as he has worked so hard. Oh, good stuff. What a proud moment that'd be, being the flag bearer for the Aussie team at the Invictus Games. If you don't know what the Invictus Games is, just Google it, guys. Prince Harry started it, and it's gone on to bigger and better things. It's like an Olympics for wounded soldiers. And I'll tell you what, it's something Harry is very, very passionate about. It really is. The Yanks are there, the Poms, Ukrainians are there, the Germans, Belgians, Dutch. It's just almost worldwide, except for all your naughty countries, isn't it? Yeah. Hey, I'm going to put a poll up. Bear with me. Just bear with me, guys. I should have had this set up before I come on. I'll go my channel, live, and I've got to put that down. I'm going to do a poll. Start a poll. So no one knows what you're voting, guys. I just want to see what you reckon. I'll go back to this one. There, I'm back on the other screen now. You reckon he'll go to the big house or not? I've been watching a lot of his speeches and that, and I don't know. He ain't going to be the top dog again if he's behind bars, is he? We'll see what everyone reckons anyway. I'll go back and see how we're looking. Looks like a no vote at the moment. No. 79, 80%. I'll let that poll run for a while, guys. It's just that's not do you want him to go? It's do you think he will? Just so take your left or right off for a minute. Just stay unbiased or whatever, and just think, do you think he will? Yeah. Koala. What's he got? Sorry, Buck, I'm swinging the chicken in a bucket. I might be burning the bar with all the smoke. Pump Koala's doing a swinging chicken, guys. If you haven't seen that video, I think it's up. I drill a heap of holes in a stainless steel bucket, put some heat beads down the bottom, some alfoil over the heat beads, wrap a chicken up in alfoil really well, like 3 layers of alfoil, put the chicken on top of the heat beads, and then put your small, not big veggies, just dice some veggies up fairly small, potato, carrot, sweet potato or pumpkin or whatever, wrap that up in foil, put it on, and then put the lid on and make sure there's holes in your bucket. Come back a couple hours later and you got to cook chicken and veggies in a bucket. It's a great way to cook out bush when you're camping. If you haven't seen that, get onto my channel, Mr. Buckaroony, and just type swinging chicken in, and you'll see I've got and it turned out really well. I did a beef in a bucket one too. I couldn't find that old video. I did a roast beef and veggies in, and that come up all right as well. And it's something you can do when you're out camping. You pull your old bucket out, put some heat beads in the bottom, alfoil, wrap your chicken or your beef and your veggies up in alfoil, put the lid on the bucket with some holes in it and holes in the side of the bucket. Go away, have a fish for a couple of hours, come back, and your meal's cooked in a bucket. It's a good way to cook out bush. It really is. Always happy. No, I wouldn't do that. I think there's a decent portion of the people who support him like nothing else, and they won't want to start something with, yeah, I know. It's got potential, Isaac, hasn't it, to go pear-shaped. Maybe that's something we can talk about on another live feed. Boy, oh boy, I think if they do put him away, I think America could go close to having another civil war, and that's something we do not want to see. We do not want to see it. Dear, oh dear. Steve Wilkes over there in Mexico. What's the vibe like? You get much vibe down in Mexico about what's happening up in the States? A bit of a train wreck at the moment, isn't it, the United States? It is a train wreck, that country. They got poor leadership. How you can have a guy in charge running a thing that's got dementia or Alzheimer's disease. He's clearly got it. How can they keep someone like that in a position like that? He's obviously got cognitive bloody impairment, and he's running the most powerful nation in the world. I just don't know how that works. It was 4 more years of comedy. It was always entertaining when he was the big guy. It was always entertaining on it. He was always saying something that was just, you'd go, where did that come from? He is a dead set diddly donk. He's off his chops, but he tell you what, he's got a lot of good policies, and one of them is he's going to make this ramming. We talked about it on a live feed the other night, ramming this transgender bullshit and that down our kids' throats at school at a young age, and Trump's going to make it illegal to do that in the United States. And I agree with him on that one. Absolute bullshit. Should be ramming that down young kids' throats, all that stuff. Let them sort that shit out for themselves when they get older. Sit there, bloody, our kids are at school to learn education and that, not bloody have that shit rammed down their throat. Anyway, won't go there. We had a big talk about that the other night, didn't we? Anyway, listen, I don't want to go back too far. I'm going to go back. I'm going to go right back to the start, if I can. I'm going to answer your questions really quickly, guys. Really quickly. Good morning, all. There you go. That's how far back I've gone. Water and coffee. So we worked out which pub's got the crocodile on it up in North Queensland. It's the Kumala Hotel. Has got the big crocodile on the outside of it, south of Mackay, halfway between Mackay and Rocky. And if you've never stayed at Seaview at the Barra Crab, that's a bloody good place to stay there. It really is. How good's the footy been? I'll try and get some questions, guys. I'm going back, and if I get a question, I'll bring it up and we'll bloody let you know. The guys are out camping, Terry G and Saw Adventures out camping there at Damn Crazy Campground. It looks bloody dry out there. It really does. Rob the Wanderer, if you're watching, I hope you're not bloody typing responses on your phone while you're driving along in a truck, mate. My old copper hat came back on when I saw that the other day, and I thought, I hope you're not bloody answering people while you're driving. He's on his way down to Adelaide, guys. He was in Hay last night out in the middle of bloody Western New South Wales there. There's not many trees out, the old Hay Plains and that. I remember the guys used to go on exercise there, the signals units. They used to hate going on exercise down around Hay. There was no trees there. When trees were around, you could throw a bobbin up a tree and pull all your antennas up a tree. At Hay, they couldn't do that, and they had to put all their masts up, put their antennas on masts. A lot more work putting all your masts up with your antennas on top of the masts, whereas you used to be able to just bloody throw a big sinker over a thing and put your antenna together and pull her up over a branch of a big bloody high gum tree or whatever. We just did Cape York, and we love Cairns, our favourite place. Good on you, Jakey. Hope you enjoyed it, mate. How good's Cape York? Hope you got up to have a beer and a pizza at the bloody Corrugation Bar at Punsan Bay. Really good. Yeah, Cape York's good, isn't it, mate? Standing at that sign which is, I think, was the picture I put up for this live feed. Standing at that sign, I've been there 4 times now at that sign. Yeah, Mr. Donny. Oh, should have bloody. I'll go all the way down. Here we go. This is the first question I can see. Panthers or Broncos? What's my tip? My tip is if I was putting money on it, I'd put it on the Panthers. But me heart's going, I think it'll be the Broncos. But I wouldn't mind seeing the Warriors or the Knights take it out, guys. But I don't think they will. But never know. Don't write off Newcastle. They're going really well. They're going really well. Oh, who's this diddly donk? Newey Joe, all New South Wales grand final. Newey's tipping Penrith, Newcastle. Be good to see. I'd love to see Newcastle roll on, mate. I reckon the Bronx will be there. The Broncos are playing good football. And I'll tell you what, they got the potential to take it out. They can beat Penrith. If Penrith have a little bit of an off day and Brisbane's on their game, they can do it. I'll try and find some more questions, guys. I'll just go through. Sorry. If anyone's got some good questions, start throwing them up, guys. Rafa's outside. He'll be outside. He smelt the bacon cooking. Rafa will be out there. I can't do anything now. Every time I leave the kitchen and sit down, he's under my feet looking up at me going, "What do you got for me, Dad?" He is unbelievable. I know most dogs are like that. Rafa is out of control. He won't leave me alone when he knows I've got food. Bloody ridiculous. It really is. I said, unless you like salad, mate. Like, I had chicken Kiev last night, and I reckon he got half of it. I just bloody get all the garlic butter and that off it and give him the chicken. He got more of it than what I did. Yes, Harry, Chinese four-wheel drives. Don't forget about the van. Yeah, I know. Roz is still on the Jawa sites, guys. That won't go away. Roz is still on some of the Jawa sites. Someone picked their Sirocco up the other day from Jawa, got 150k up the road, and a truckie said from behind on the UHF, "Pull over, mate. You got something dangling down under your caravan." One of the shockies had come on and was dragging along the ground. And good to see Jawa. They still, like, when Brad Howell got under my van, every nut and bolt was loose. They obviously don't check them when they come over on the boat. In their pre-check, they have the van for a couple of weeks. They obviously don't check anything underneath because this bloke lost his shocky, and it was 150 kilometres old. Can you believe that shit? Tank 300 would not tow anything. Are we talking about 300 series Land Cruiser there? Toughnes got a 300, guys, and towed a big zone RV, and he said it towed very well. He was very happy with the way the 300 series towed. What? Russell Coit. Does everyone love those ads on TV at the moment? The Russell Coit's ads about the electric 4x4 vehicles. They are funny. It's good to see Russell Coit back doing his stupid shit again. You know what's coming, but it's still funny, isn't it? It really is. Yes, Australian car market needs competition to bring the prices down. Absolutely it does, because buying a new car at the moment, it's not cheap, is it? It's not cheap. And the old BT50, she's going to have to do me, look after the BT. It's 11 years old now, and it's got to do me for another 11 years, I reckon. It's got to bloody keep going because I can't afford to buy a new one. Invictus Games has got bigger than Harry. Well, he started it off. He should be very proud of that, mate, eh? Ruthie's onto the Mahindra. I'm interested in the Mahindra utes as a way of getting into the market. Well, Landy Smurf, a mate of mine down in Tassie now, Craig Anderson, he's got a Mahindra and he really likes it. It's starting to rain, isn't it? I think it is. Or is that? I don't know if that's rain or wind. He's got a Mahindra and is really, I think they've got a lot of Cummins engine in it or whatever, the Mahindras. And Ruthie's got a Mahindra and he talks highly of it. We all know Ruthie. Ruthie's an old bloody Toyota man. He's got a Mahindra now. And everyone was up him, "Oh, you're only talking about Mahindra because they're paying you to do it." Ruthie said any car company would have paid me to talk about their thing. But Ruthie seems very happy with his Mahindra. He's had it over a year now. And he hasn't got a bad thing to say about it. What else? Here we go. Yes. That's my next one, Frank Aussie. I'll do that one. There. Me and Roz were only talking about that yesterday. Should have been 2 questions in that. Do you recognise Indigenous people in the Constitution? And then the voice. But they're just doing the voice only. I don't think any Aussies have got a problem with recognising Indigenous people in the Constitution. I think that's a must. But Albanese didn't think like that. It's just one question as far as I know. And that's, do you want a voice in Parliament? And my big problem is like, who's going to be calling the shots? You get that Lydia Thorpe calling the shots behind the scenes. Gee whiz, where are we going to end up if that happens? I'll do that. Politicians are like koalas, a protected species. Yeah, exactly right. And they're giving themselves another pay rise. Can you believe that? Pieces of shit. Giving themselves another 3 or 4% pay rise. And yet fireys and cops and nurses and all that ask for 2, and prison officers. We used to, during our EB agreements, we'd ask for 2.5% pay rise, which wasn't even inflation, and they wouldn't give it to us. They'd knock us back on it. And we'd have to sit there and threaten to go on strike and that to get 2.5%. The old pollies, we'll just get another 4%. Unbelievable. Then they don't have to wait for their superannuation and their payer, their pensions and that. As soon as they get chucked out, they're entitled to it straight away. Rules for them and rules for everyone else. I'll tell you what, we've got to start bloody, yeah. Anyway, there was a poll on the news this morning and they reckon Queensland Labor government is not looking good next year. They are way behind in the polls. And the catchphrase up here in Queensland now is show Labor the door in 2024. And that's exactly what we got to do, because that Premier of Queensland at the moment's on the nose. She is on the nose big time. I cannot stand that woman. I can't stand her party. Transferring my homebrew into the keg. Paulie Martin. Transferring my homebrew into the keg for homebrew on tap. That could be dangerous, mate. That could be dangerous, having homebrew on a keg at home. That could be very, very dangerous, I tell you. There you go. Mate of mine lives in wherever that is, somewhere in the States, and said to me, yeah, I know. He's got half the support over there. It's going to get ugly if they did send him, mate. It does sound like a witch hunt, eh? He's saying, why didn't they do this 18 months ago? Why are they doing it now? That all this shit started when I said I was going to run for the big job again, and that's when all this shit started. I don't know. I don't know. If something sticks on him, bud, he's in deep shit, isn't he? We won't go on to American politics, guys, because I'll get jammed. YouTube, as soon as you start mentioning that guy's, the orange man, as soon as you start mentioning his name on here, they go, oh, we'll jam him. And it's happened to Kaz heaps of times, guys, so we won't mention his name. I'm trying to find a bloody, John Papp, the RC292. The man on here at the moment, guys, he's the man who showed me how to tune an AN GRC 106 HF radio set up in Bamaga, of all places. On night, Pat was on radio shift at night, and I went over to see him in the back of a bloody FFR fitted for radio Land Rover, and Pap's on the big 106 HF set, which is long-range communications. The old 106 put 400 watts up the stick. You could either use an antenna or usually a some sort of inverted V or a dipole antenna. So HF used to bounce up off the ionosphere and back down, and you could communicate all around the world with HF. At night time, very crackly and whatever. It wasn't as clear as VHF communications. And old Pap, he showed me how to tune a 106 radio back in 1986 up in Bamaga. We're up in Bamaga for 6 or 8 weeks on an exercise up there, up in Cape York. And RC292, that was an antenna that we used to use for VHF communications, guys. And that was one of the antennas that we used to set it together, look like a bloody antenna up that way and your ground plane elements down that way and your coupler in the middle, and you bloody hook your thing on and pull it up a tree. And the higher you could get your antenna with VHF comms, because VHF was line of sight, the higher you could get your antenna, the better communications you could get. So if you could get it up over the thing of a dirty big gum tree that was bloody 40 meters in the air, you could get good comms. Had breakfast yet? No, I haven't, mate. It's out there. It'll be cold. Rafa's probably had my share of breakfast. 105 on. How long have I been on, guys? I don't know. Tell me how long. If you want me to stop jibber-jabbering. I'm trying to get to the questions. 3-ply or 2-ply? I prefer 3-ply, but 2-ply is better. 1-ply, I hate it. You know what I like about being home the most, not being in the caravan parks anymore, and that is the toilet paper that you get in caravan parks, the 1-ply toilet paper. I hate it. It's good to be back home now using sorbent, or what's the other one? Oh, we use another nice soft double ply or 3-ply toilet paper. Yeah. Remember there was a toilet paper called Dawn, and that was the brand of the toilet paper. And there was an old joke. This is going back now. You don't even see Dawn toilet paper anymore. And they go, what do you get if Dawn breaks? And the thing was dirty fingers. So not Dawn as in the sun bloody coming up. Phil the Maniac's on, guys, from Phil's Camping Reviews. If you want to buy a pillow with a hole in it, get on to Phil. He's got them for sale. I don't know what the hole's for, Phil. Why is there a hole in your pillow? That's what everyone is wondering. Here's a good question. Isaac B. Buck, what sort of policing have you done? I know you did some stuff in the prisons. Were you ever on patrol? Yes, Isaac, I was, mate. I was a prison officer for, a cop. Isaac, I don't know if you probably come over from Kaz's channel, mate. I was in the army for, I don't know if that's working. I was in the army for 20 years, mate. And then I went into I got out of the army and I joined the Queensland Police. So I was a cop for 6 years. And then I changed because there was too much paperwork in the police, I changed over to corrections and I went and worked in the prisons for 13. So I did 20 army and 19 police and corrections, which are totally different jobs. Yes, mate, I was a proper copper, Queensland police officer. For those watching in America, we don't have sheriffs and county police and all that. We only have federal police and state police. I was in the Queensland State Police, went through the North Queensland Academy. There's 2 academies, one at Oxley in Brisbane and one in Townsville in North Queensland. I went through the Townsville Academy, got bloody most outstanding recruit, and got the leadership award and the commissioner's award for most outstanding recruit. I actually found something. I was actually, without trying to blow wind up my ass, I was good at being a police officer. I didn't like the paperwork, but when it come to actually policing, being a street cop, I thought I was in my element there. I really was. Yes, mate, I went through, got out of the academy, and I got transferred to where I live now, Inisfail, in far north Queensland, a town about an hour south of Cairns. I was a cop here. I was a general duties police officer. And I also did some time at a little town called Tully, which is south of Inisfail. And then I went out as an acting senior constable at a little town called South Johnston, a little one-man station out there, out at South Johnston. And then I did some relieving work up in Cape York, mate. So I spent a few weeks at a little Aboriginal community north of Cooktown called Hopevale, okay, where Matty Bowen, the ex-Cowboy player, is from. So I did time in Hopevale, and I did 6 months at probably the most bloody violent community in Queensland, and that's a little Aboriginal community called Arukun, Aurukun. It's on the western side of Cape York on the tip, just south of Weipa. But it used to take 3 hours to get from Arukun to Weipa. It was all dirt road, and in the wet season, it'd be closed down because the roads were impassable. So 6 months in Arukun, and I could write a book on what happened up there, mate. It was very, very violent. I did some relieving in the Inisfail CIB, Criminal Investigation Branch, as a plainclothes guy, plainclothes constable. I was PCC, plainclothes constable. I was supposed to be a senior constable when I got out, but I didn't do all the bloody assignments you had to do. I said, stick it in your ass. You don't have to do that anymore. As soon as you get to your 6-year mark, you automatically get your 2 stripes. So I hadn't done my assignments when I got out. I had no intention of doing them because they were full of shit. So, yeah, mate, I was a cop. I was a street cop mainly. Most of my time was a street cop, attending domestic violence situations, fights at pubs, all the shit that general duty. So, yes, I did go on patrol, mate. I did go on patrol, and I got through into some very, very violent situations and some hairy situations, mate, as all police officers do. It's a job that, yeah, people knock the police, but if you saw what they had to do sometimes, you'd go, holy shit, that ain't for me. I'll take my hat off to them. And Had me gun out a couple of times on people who were going to do me some harm, and luckily I didn't have to use it, mate. So, yes, I have been on patrol as a police officer. There't a photo of me when I graduated through the academy, mate. There, and the medals I've got on were the medals I had when I got out of the army. You can wear them on your police uniform. In that, you didn't wear them when you're anything. And the other photo there, I was working the Townsville Correctional Centre, mate, at a high security prison in Townsville, and I did that for 13 years working with prisoners, mate. So that had its moments too, let me tell you. That had some the old arse doing the 50 cent, 5 cent things a few times there, mate. The old catchphrase there is 95% sheer boredom, 5% sheer terror. Because a prison, when it kicks off like that, and it turns to shit very, very quickly. It really does. Yeah, Rafa needs to go on a diet too, because you know why he's getting fat. We got 2 cats here now. Roz's son Jamil is with us. He's got 2 cats, Crew and Zebby. Keep an eye. Remember that. It might be a question down the track. Crew and Zebby, the cats, and as soon as they walk away from their food, Rafa mind sweeps it on them. Rafa's straight over there and mind sweeps their food. Now, let's get some more things. Thanks for that, Isaac. Thanks for that question, mate. Obviously new to the channel. A lot of the people on here probably knew I was a cop. Yes, I was a cop for 6 years, mate, a Queensland police officer. I was out on patrol, and then I changed over to the prisons, mate. And they both were the prison was better because there was less paperwork. I was a lazy bugger and hated doing paperwork. And that was my demise in the police, guys, the paperwork was horrendous. You couldn't get out of the police station to do your job. You're stuck behind a computer all day, spitting out reams of paperwork, because every time you arrested someone, there'd be 8 hours of paperwork that'd follow it, and domestic violence situation. Did I get on to Robbie Catter? I sent messages to Robbie Catter, mate, and it gets to their secretary, and that's as far as it gets. I invited Robbie Catter on for an interview one night, same as Jackie Lambie, invited them on. I'm just a little bloody fish in the ocean. They probably think, who's this idiot wanting to inviting us on to have a live feed? Wanted to talk to Robbie about Queensland and what he, you know, I personally think he should be the Queensland Premier, but he won't get there. It's always going to be someone from the Labor or the LNP party. Robbie's leader of the Catter's Australian Party here in Queensland. Simon Somerville. I got a lot of mates that came over to Aussie Corrections, mate, from the Kiwi Corrections. Phil Webber was a old Kiwi screw as well, mate. I'm a prison officer in New Zealand, and we're going on strike because the police here do the same. Exactly. Good on you, mate. Stick it up and stick together. Stick together and get up and, mate. It's not a bloody pleasant job being a prison officer. And you guys are dealing with, you know, the mongrel mob and the black power and all the gangs and that over there in your prisons. We don't get so much of that shit over here, thank goodness. Yeah. So I've got a few mates that are ex-Kiwi screws, and they come over to the Queensland Corrections, mate, and I've heard a lot of the stories and that over there for sure. So, yeah, should get their pension when they turn 80 years. Exactly right, Jack Turtle. We're talking about politicians now. Yeah, Lukey Alexander. Here we go. Lukey Alexander saying, I work for Qantas, and we've only had 1.8% pay rise in 5 years. They held us 4 years out of EB. And yet, the little leprechaun that's retiring, he's on about $20 million a year. And then you got guys, the workers down there, the baggage handlers and the check-in chicks and the hosties and all that type of stuff can't get a 1.8% pay rise. And the piece of shit CEO is on $20 million a year. That's what's killing this country, guys, is greed. And all these CEOs of Australia Post, all the big banks, Qantas and all these big companies, the CEOs are on obscene amounts of money, and that is what's killing this country. And it's an absolute disgrace that Alan Joyce was on the money he was. Give him $1 million a year. No one deserves more than that a year. You know, he's not that good. No one deserves that. I know it was probably a high-pressure job, and he went through some tough times with COVID. No one's worth $20 million a year. If anyone should be on that, it should be bloody brain surgeons and these doctors that have become surgeons and half their life has been spent studying to be a surgeon to keep people alive. They're the guys who deserve that money, not bloody CEOs of these big companies. Well, Dicko, why don't I like camping anymore? Mate, I'm getting older. My body's riddled with arthritis. I went for a swag camp a couple of weeks ago with my son. I still enjoy camping, mate. I really do. And you'll see me out camping again. I just won't be filming it. I didn't enjoy the caravan lifestyle, mate. I've got to be honest. I did not enjoy living out of a caravan. It wasn't for me. And when the weather's shit and you're stuck inside a 15-foot caravan, it wears thin real quick, mate. I can't be enclosed for too long. I'm like a caged rat. And Ros got a bit the same too. We just got sick of living in a 15-foot caravan. Just wasn't my lifestyle, mate. I know it's a lot of people's idea, I'm going to live in a caravan for the rest of my life. Good on you. It ain't for me. I like a house. I even get a bit caged up in a house. I've got to get out the shed and go for a walk in the afternoons. Don't get me wrong. I love that 5 months. I love seeing all those beautiful places down the New South Wales coast, Tasmania, over into South Aussie, Mount Gambier and all that. But living out of a caravan sucked ass, mate. I didn't enjoy it. I do enjoy camping, mate. I still enjoy camping. And Ros and I will go camping again in the Oz tent or the swag. We're just going to do it simple now. Be just a little 1 or 2 nighter somewhere. We'll still get out camping. We'll still get the bloody campfire going and all that type of stuff. Here we go. Buck, what's your camp set up now? You're going back to the Oz tent. Yes, I have, Jeff. I've gone back to the Oz tent, mate, or the King swag, the filthy King swag. Don't have a camper trailer, don't have a caravan, don't intend getting that. If I get a trailer again, it'll probably be a 5B7 box trailer so I can carry more camping gear out camping, if you know what I mean, so I don't load the BT50 up so much. Tell you what, I did get in the BT the other day, guys. My suspension was shot to pieces on that BT50. It was shocking. I put airbags on. Wasn't the airbags causing the problem. The suspension was shot. I just spent $3,500 and got top of the range Ironman on there. Ironman foam cell pros, new leaf springs, new shackled bushes, all that stuff. Foam cell pro shockies, 45 mil, the biggest you can get. And the suspension on the BT now is sweet. It is sitting beautifully. The back's up slightly. The front was up too high. It looked like I had a 4-inch lift at the front because the springs were sagging. And Jack Turtle, that's what my airbags, I said the airbags were bouncing me around. My suspension was shot. I got new shockies before the trip, Piranha brand shockies, garbage. Don't ever get them, guys. I've got this Ironman stuff on now. And it is very, very good suspension. It really is. So, yeah, mate, Oz 10 or the swag, Jeff. That's what I'm in now, mate. That is exactly what I'm in. And it's good old-fashioned camping, isn't it? As I said, down the track, I might get a little 5B7 and a 5B7 box trailer with the cage around so I can put a tarp over the top. And in there, you know, if you want to carry your bloody Aussie campfire kitchen cook gear and bloody all that type of stuff, carry an extra swag or whatever if you've got the grandkids coming, all that type of stuff. Can you tune my TV? No, I can't. I'm hopeless. Anything to do with electronics and tuning stuff in. The TV in the old Caravan used to keep falling out, and Ros used to do that because I nearly put my fist through it a couple of times. Here we go. Rick Hayes, g'day, Buck. Between your Prime Minister and ours in New Zealand, what a joke. I think they could be, we have this election this month, can't come quick enough. Well, Rick, if they're not doing the job, mate, and he's in the same party as Jacinta Ardern was, mate, if they're weak, gutted lefties and they're not making the hard calls and they're turning your country into a woke society, piss them off, Rick. And I hope you do. We need to start ganging up on these woke bloody politicians that are weakening our countries and piss them off out of the job. And all you can do by doing that is vote against him, mate, and I hope you do. If he's not doing the job, piss him off, like our Queensland Premier. She's bloody hopeless. And I hope next year, she only got in last election because she used COVID as a scare campaign. And, how's the awning? Which awning, mate? My only awning now is Oh, I got rid of the Caravan, mate. If you're talking about the Fiamma awning on the Caravan's gone. We sold it to a couple up in Cairns. And it's gone. Gave Starlink with it, everything. We don't own the Caravan at all anymore, mate. And if anyone ever says, do you want it? Would you buy a Jawa Caravan? No. I would never buy another Chinese Caravan again. Phil W's on over the ditch there. Sandpaper. Are you talking about our cricketers, Phil? Our cricketers with the sandpaper? That was a disgrace when our cricketers got caught cheating with sandpaper over in South Africa during Test match. Who was it? Steve Smith, Warner, and I forget the other guy who actually had the set. They should have been banned for life from cricket for that. That was a disgrace to our. It was up there, Phil. That was nearly as bad as the underarm incident, mate. And I don't think you'll speak to an Australian except Greg Chappell and Trevor Chappell that agreed with that underarm incident back in the 80s when New Zealand needed 6 off the last ball to win, and Greg Chappell instructed his brother Trevor Chappell to bowl underarm so they couldn't hit it. The Kiwis couldn't hit a 6. Absolutely disgraceful sportsmanship, that. And us Aussies, mate, I remember when that happened, I was still in school, I think, high school, and I just shook me. Even back then, I just shook my head and went, that's bullshit. That's a disgrace. And the Kiwis have never forgotten us for that, and nor should you. It was a disgraceful. But, mate, there's not too many Aussies around that agree with it either, let me tell you. And the sandpaper incident, sandpaper scandal during the cricket, that was a disgrace as well. That was an absolute... We're going downhill now, aren't we? Oh, dear. I think that was back to the toilet paper thing. Let's see. Looking for some more questions here. Pump koala, sheep or sheepdog? I'm a sheep now, mate, but when I was a copper and Kaz had a good live feed the other night, guys. Are you a sheep, a sheepdog, or a wolf? Okay, go in the trenches with Kaz and watch that. I was on there with him. And certainly when I was a cop and a screw, mate, I was a sheepdog for sure. That was what the job was all about, looking after the sheep, okay, against the wolves. Now, I guess I don't need to be a sheepdog. I don't need to be a sheepdog anymore, mate. I just slip back to being a sheep, I guess. But if the time arises and I need to protect someone in my family, I'd become a sheepdog again for sure. Yeah. Trev Kelly, g'day, down there in Rocky. Hey, Buck, the Singapore Army back in Rocky, I deliver all their toilet paper. Geez, they go through it. Must be the chili noodles, mate, the chili ramen noodles. Trev reckons he can't keep the poo tickets up to the Singaporean Army. There you go. Yeah, you see the Singaporean Army on. They got bloody all the good gear, Apache attack helicopters and that. And here's Australia. We're still years away from getting them. We're behind. We're 20 years behind the 8 ball, our Army. We really are. Isaac, I've been to Hopevale on a school trip. We all Wudjal and Baru. I haven't been to Baru, mate. Wudjal is a little Aboriginal community on the Bloomfield track, guys. If you ever do the Creb track, 4-wheel driving, you'll go through Wudjal or the Bloomfield track. Don't stop off there if you've got alcohol in your vehicle. You can only drive straight through Wudjal. If you've got alcohol in your vehicle, it's a dry community, and you've got to keep going. You stop there with alcohol in your vehicle and the cops catch you, you're in deep shit. You can get your car confiscated. I guess if you got caught giving alcohol to the locals, you would. So Wudjal's a dry community. There's a reason for that, guys. But yeah, just not far from Wudjal to the Lions Den Hotel. South of Cooktown it is. Wudjal. Been through there a few times. Greggy Palmer, asking where Greg's based. Now, Matty and Debbie Laxo. Oh, that's the other Greg. There's 2 Greg Palmers on. I keep getting Lorna McMillan. Why do Queenslanders all have small dogs? Lorna, I haven't noticed that. Has anyone noticed that Queenslanders have got small dogs? I got Rafa. Before Rafa, I owned golden retrievers. I had about 3. Before Rafa, going back many years, I've always had golden retrievers, Lorna. And the reason we got Rafa is Roz's nephew's Jack Russell, MJ or CJ, whatever her name was, had a litter of puppies, and Roz went up and saw him and saw Rafa. He was the runt of the litter. He was the only one with soft fur and not spiky Jack Russell fur. Rafa got the silky terrier soft fur, and Roz sent me a photo. I was away somewhere, and she said, "Can we get him?" I said, "No. Oh, he's only $250," and I weakened. And and it's the best decision we ever made. He's been my best mate. He's been the best dog I've ever owned. And I've had some bloody good dogs, but Rafa takes the cake. He's a beauty. He's a bloody good. He's my best mate. And when he goes, I'm going to be devastated. But hopefully he's got a lot more years left in him yet. He's 11. Hopefully, I reckon Jack Russells and Silky Terriers have got a good lifespan. So hopefully Rafa, I've got to get him to lose a couple of kilos. He might go even think. These politicians, mate, they don't want to talk to people like me. I'm not even going to waste my breath with them anymore. They don't want to talk to little guys like me. All they want to do is get on television cameras and big note their crack. Because if they talk to little blokes like me, they reach an audience of 100 people. They don't get their message out. You know, they just want to have their faces seen on TV. That's all they. You know, there's another one, Phil Thompson, federal member down there in Townsville for the LNP party. I'd love to have Phil on one night, but they won't come onto a YouTube channel, mate, because they're frightened you're gonna ask them a question that they don't want asked. Okay, they prefer to get up and say what they want to say. They don't like being asked questions because ever noticed a politician? They just can't give a straight answer. I don't care who it is. They get Penny Wong got asked a question the other day in Parliament by Pauline Hanson, and it was a simple yes or no question, and she just went around and around the subject and never gave a straight answer. They're all professionals at doing it, no matter what side you go for. They're full of shit. We need a politician or a PM who's just going to stand up, and if someone says, "Prime Minister, are you going to do this?" Go, "Fucking oath I am. Yes." And that's it. Instead of beating around the bush and carrying on and trying to deflections everywhere, get some balls about yous and answer people straight up. And if the answer isn't what they want to hear, stiff shit. You go, "I know you didn't want to hear that answer, but that's my answer, and that's what's going to be happening." Like it or lump it, because the decision I'm making goes with the majority of what the country want. It's not going down your agenda. And that's what we need, is people to start doing that. How often do you see the crocs out and about in Inisfail, Buck? Never, rarely, or a lot. Rarely, mate, because I probably don't go on the river. We were on the river the other day, didn't see them, but there is a croc spotting boat here, snapping tours, I think, on the Johnston River. There are some big crocs in this river, mate. I know up in the Daintree, they see a lot of crocs up there, and Port Douglas, whatever the river is at Port Douglas, there's croc spotting tours there, and they often, especially in wintertime, mate, wintertime, you'll see them sunning themselves up on the banks and that. I don't go out looking for crocs, mate, but yes, I have seen crocs, and especially up in Arakoon. I did see a lot of crocs up in Arakoon, up in Cape York, mate. You wouldn't want to go falling in the water up there, let me tell you, because I did see a lot up there. At night, we used to go down to the landing when you launch your boats and put in the police troopy and put the spotlight over the water, and all you could see was bloody red eyes, mate. It was quite eerie. It really was. Yeah, they're up here. There was a good thing the other day. A bloke's fishing off a sandbank, only a half an hour from where I'm sitting at the moment. He's fishing on a sandbank, and there was a 3.5 to 4 metre crocodile sitting on the sandbank behind him. I don't think he knew it was there. And a backpacker filmed it and said, "Have a look at that." He said, "This bloke's like I don't know. He was in danger zone, this guy. And that's how people get taken, mate. They bloody get blasé. Yeah, CEOs laughing all the way to the bank. It's putrid. And if I was the Prime Minister, I don't know how I'd do it, but I'd put a cap on all these CEOs on how much money they're allowed to earn. It's criminal. It really is. The banks and that bloody ripping us off with all the bank fees and all that, and the CEOs, all these fat cats. That's what's killing this country. It really is. Phil, I've got an awning tent now. Works really well. Good stuff, mate. Good stuff. Jack Turtle saying good. Yeah, got the Iron Man on now, Jack. It's working really good, mate. Anastasia needs to go. Absolutely, she does. Righto. I've been avoiding this, guys. A lot of people have been asking me about it. Listen, we'll put the poll up. No one knows what you're going to vote. What are you going to vote for the poll? I think, judging by the news, I'm tipping no might get up on this. The last one that we did like this was in 1999, and it was, do we want to become a republic? And it was a no vote on that one. That was the last referendum we had, 1999. Do you want Australia to become a republic? That is going to raise its head again, and I think it'll get up next time. I hope it doesn't, but it will, now that the Queen's gone. And Western Australia's had 4 referendums on, do you want daylight savings? 4 different times they've pushed for daylight savings in West Aussie, and 4 times it got voted down, because I'll tell you what, Western Australia is one place you don't need daylight savings. Surprised they haven't done it again, had a referendum in Queensland. If you want daylight savings in Queensland, they should make the Sunshine Coast, Brisbane and the Gold Coast part of New South Wales, and leave the rest of us Queenslanders alone, because we don't want it, especially out west or up north here. Brisbane might want it. Brisbane, you aren't Queensland. There's a lot more places in Queensland than bloody Brisbane. Let me go back and check this poll. Can't even remember what it was. What was it? Will the big orange fella go to jail? I'm going to end the poll there. 72% said no. Okay, we'll see what happens, eh? Yeah, I'm tipping no as well. I think I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see what happens, eh? Righto. This is the one. You've all been wanting me to do it. I'm not going to start a shit fight. It's just going to be a poll. I don't really want to talk about this because it just creates a shitstorm, guys. Here's my typing shit. I'm going to do this one, and then I'm going to do another poll after this. Do you support the voice to Parliament? Yes or no? Be interesting to see, guys. This will be interesting. And this is what we've all got to vote for on, is it the 23rd or the 28th of October? It's compulsory to vote in this. And it's something we all have to, it's like voting for the Prime Minister. We have to go and vote on this, guys. So it'll be interesting. Now, just because no or yes gets up today doesn't mean that's what the country's going to do, okay? There's a lot of, I'm tipping a lot of the people in this thing are probably, I don't know. Don't think because no or yes gets up here that's what's going to happen on the 28th or the 23rd of October when we vote. So I'll go back to the normal stream. We'll let that go. Have a vote. No one knows who votes yes or no, guys. It's just a general thing, and we come up and go, yeah. Adam Richards is on. Hey, Adam, how are you, mate? Yeah. Jake, hey, Buck, your father, I recall you say got stabbed in Hervey Bay. Can't remember the full story. Yes, Dad was a Sergeant First Class, the officer in charge of the Hervey Bay Police Station in 1981, and he got stabbed 11 times, mate, by a fruitcake with a sharp blade and nearly lost his life. Dad passed away at the age of 87 and carried a lot of those wounds and scars till the day he died, especially his Achilles tendon got cut clean in half, mate, which was the worst one. That piece of shit's dead now too. Hopefully Dad's up there toweling him up. I hope he went south and not north, if you know what I mean. He was a bloody mongrel human being, and there's a lot of them out there. And I've seen them, guys, in that, I don't know if you can see my mouse cursor. These 2 jobs, but mainly that one there, I used to see the worst society has got to offer when I was in that job. Some of the things that some of those guys were in for would make you physically sick if I told you the story of why they were in. It was pretty bad. Yep, done that. So we've got the poll up on the voice, guys. Yes or no? I don't care either way. And that's why we're a democracy. We get to vote on something. And at the end of the day, whatever gets up, we have to accept it. That's why we're a democracy. If yes gets up, we accept it. If no gets up, we accept it. We get on with it, eh? That's what makes us a good country, is the majority. And that's what I think's got to happen, is everyone has a vote and the majority have the say, and we have to accept the majority's rule. Sometimes you don't agree with what gets up. We have to accept it. I didn't agree. I didn't want to see Albanese get in as Prime Minister. He's in now, but he's a Prime Minister. We've got to support him. Doesn't mean we can't knock him when he makes stupid decisions, but he's our Prime Minister. And I think that's what happened with the big orange fella. He wasn't given a fair chance over there, guys. The media and that I know he's a diddly donk, don't get me wrong, but he didn't get a fair run, I don't think. The media just didn't allow him to have a fair crack, I don't think. Under cabbage patches, Steve Webb. How's the Renegade going? Very good. Yes, I do, Jake. I've still got the Renegade boat, the Renegade 420, the Evinrude 40 horsepower. Evinrudes aren't made anymore, guys. They've closed down over there in the United States. It's still going well. Just had a service. I was going to sell the boat, and I've decided not to. We're on the fence about selling the Caravan and the boat. We've sold the Caravan. We're hanging on to the boat, mate, which makes me realise I've got to get out and start using the bloody thing. I'm not using it enough. Roz, if you're watching, we've got to get out and use the boat. Wouldn't want to be out today. It's a bit windy and yucky today. But when the weather comes good, nice weather at the moment, warming up, bloody, yeah, nice warmed up, about 28 during the day, so the weather's good. Summer's just around the corner. I'm not looking forward to summer. Sucks up here in North Queensland, guys. The humidity is off tap. Apparently so. Is the fishing and crabbing good at Barra Crab, which is halfway between Mackay and Rocky? That's a great place to pull off and stay. Apparently so, but I think you'd need a boat. There are mangroves and all that there if you want to put the pots and that in, but the trouble with your crab pots, they've got to be below the low tide mark with your crab pots. Be careful. There are bloody crocs around down there. And but there is a boat ramp there, and the locals do go out to the islands fishing. So I've heard that there is good fishing out at the islands, Lorna. Yes. They're all Muppets. That's where the Muppet Show is. I like the Muppet Show. They had more intelligence than politicians, the Muppets, I reckon. What do you reckon? Deb Fleming. Hi, Buck. Been watching channel for 3 years. It was a sad day when you left. Fantastic to see me back. Yeah. Just got a bit sick of doing all the filming and that, Deb. Camping trips. That was over, mate. Like, I'm just over that. Going to film some cook-ups in the future. Everyone enjoys my cook-ups for some reason. So I'll do that. I might do the odd, I'm hoping the Gidgee Gorilla will come up for some cook-ups. But my days of going out filming camping events, I think they're over, guys. Never say never, but yeah. And I've only got, if you haven't liked and subscribed to the channel, like and subscribe. I've only got 22,000 subscribers to go to get back to where I was when I threw the old channel in. Dixon's Inlet in Port Douglas. That's where all the crocs are. Dixon's Inlet in Port Douglas. And yes, there are a lot of crocs up there. All scripted in Parliament. Yeah, I know. Maddie and Debbie. Maddie had a hip replacement there. How's your hip going, Maddie? Because I need one. My right hip is rooted, guys, and I'm putting off a hip replacement. Ros goes, Rogers, go and get a hip replacement every time I get out of my chair and start hobbling to the kitchen because my hip seized up on me. Maddie had a bloody thing. How's your hip going, mate? I've heard, I don't know, I'm a big sook. I try and put operations off as long as I can. But I'm going to get into the CBD oil and see if that fixes me up, mate, before I go going under the knife. I think that's last resort, going under the knife. Even my orthopedic surgeon said, mate, you're probably going to have to get a back operation at some stage. I said, yeah, righto. I'll know when I can't walk anymore, that's when I'll go under the knife. Or when the pain becomes too bad. Yeah. There's a picture. Nathan, the Impy Hotel, mate, here in Inisfail, the Imperial Hotel's been done up, and they've done a fantastic job with it. It's a really nice-looking hotel now on the Esplanade, and they've got a big picture up of a crocodile that was caught back in 1918 or whatever in the Johnston River, straight across from the pub. This thing is a dinosaur, guys. It is a dinosaur. If you ever go through Inisfail, go to the Imperial Hotel down on the Esplanade. A couple of nice little cafes and that along the Esplanade there, and where you can have a nice breakfast or a coffee and that. Go to the Impy, have a beautiful meal there. They got a picture of a croc from 1918 or 1920 or something, 1919, and this thing is like a 6-meter dinosaur. It is scary. And to think that was in the river where I put the 4-meter tinny in. It's a bit unnerving, isn't it? Now, I don't know. Rick, probably in the 300s, mate. 300s. You can still get a house for 300 in Inisfail. They're not flash homes, mate. 300 up, you get a really nice home. But most of the homes in Inisfail are old homes. It's an old town, mate. It's an old, tired-looking town. My house I'm in now is an old Besser brick home, but it's a bloody 1963 vintage, mate. It's older than me, and I tell you what, they built them tough back in the day, because this house has been through, since me and Roz have been living in it. 2006, Cyclone Larry is a high-end Cat 4, and in 2011, Cyclone Yasi was a Cat 5, and this and the other little low-set home beside us, they were standing strong, guys, and all the bloody high-set homes all lost their roofs and all that stuff. She's a solid old concrete bunker, this one. Susie, Buck, will you do a live chat when we're there for us in the community? Well, yeah, why not? I'm sure everyone will be doing. Yeah, I will, Susie, as long as I've got some decent comms. We've got, well, Snorky and Phil the Maniac and Fuller all have their Starlink there. So, yeah, I will, Susie. We'll do a live feed from Goombara Campground next August. Yeah. Hey, if you're in the bloody Gold Coast, 7th and 8th of March next year, there's a Masters Rugby League competition on. I'll be down there, guys, with the Townsville Chiefs. I'm Chief Water Boy. I'm Reserve Water Boy, I am. Chris Caspani's the head water boy. I'm Reserve Water Boy for the Townsville Chiefs. My body's not up to playing footy anymore, guys. It's just I've got too many problems with me back and me hips, guys, to be running around on a footy field, even though I'm in the red shorts and, you know, typical blokes. It's supposed to be a game of grab, and it turns into, you know, I got my ribs broken and my sternum cracked and that in my first game. You know, blokes are like, the old testosterone gets going. All these old fellas like me, who ex-A graders and reserve graders, who think they still got it, and they come out at 60 years old, and it bloody, yeah, they had to call one game off that the Chiefs are in because of the amount of punch-ups in it, and it's a Masters game. Can you believe that? Mind you, it was the Townsville Chiefs, who are all prison screws, against a Townsville team called Souths, who are all ex-Crims. So whoever thought that this would be a good game to have got it wrong, and the referee couldn't control the fights, and he had to call the game off because it was Crims versus, what was that one Adam Sandler was in, where the prisoners play the screws? It was like that, guys, but we won this one. We won the fight and we won the game. Yeah, they had to call it off. One of their blokes went off in an ambulance to hospital, and they called the game off. We didn't have our blue shirts on. We didn't have to play by the rules that day, and they bit off more than they could chew. Still going. Steve said, I've been for a 5-kilometre walk with... Stop lying, Fuller. You couldn't make 5 kilometres. He went for a 5-kilometre walk, and I was jibber-jabbering when he left, and I'm still jibber-jabbering now. I won't keep you much longer, guys. I want to go through. I said I'd answer all your questions. Ray Daniels. No. Debbie? No. Ray Daniels. I don't remember that name, mate. It might have been before or after my time. I don't remember a Ray Daniels. Don't get me wrong, Dwayne. There was some there were some good things about the Sirocco, but there were some bad things too, mate. I'll leave that for another thing. It had good points and it had bad points, mate. And I was going to do another clip on it and bag it out and tell you all the bad things about it, but I don't know. I just don't want to bloody go there anymore, mate. It left a bad taste in my mouth, that Caravan. I don't really want to keep revisiting it. I don't want to badmouth Jawa too much. They were good in a lot of ways to me, Jawa. And they hosed me over a couple of times is the way I look at it too. But if you're going to import Chinese caravans and things go wrong, you've got to bloody stand behind it and back your warranty up. And there was a couple of times there I thought I was a bit hard done by, especially when it failed the roadworthy on the roadworthy to sell it to another, and all the brake drums were scrubbed out, and then they tried to blame, oh no, you didn't get it serviced with us, and what a load of shit. It was just poor quality components, mate. So anyway, I don't own it anymore, and I'm glad I got rid of it. 14th of October, someone's saying 14th of October. That must be when the thing, I thought it was the 20-something of October. 14th of October is when the election is, guys, for the vote for the voice. We'll go back in and have a look. Reggie Palmer, remember the 98 vote for council to be government was a no. Not too many referendums have got a yes vote over the years. One that bloody did get up, and it should have, was back in the day when Indigenous people were included into the Flora and Fauna Act. Can you believe that shit? Can you believe that that's how we were in the old days? You know, when probably before I was born, Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islanders weren't even allowed to vote, guys. They are still classed under the Flora and Fauna Act, which is animals and trees. Like, we've come a long way, haven't we? And we've still got a way to go, but we've come a long way. And that got up. Are Indigenous people allowed to vote? I think it was 1969 or something like that, 63. That was a referendum, and it got up. And so it bloody should have. We're all equal, and everyone should have equal rights. And that's the way, no matter what colour your skin is, guys, we should have, or what your nationality is or whatever. If you're living in this country, we should all be treated equally. We really should. And I won't go any further than that, but I'm glad that one got up, because that's, when you look back now and you think, Roz's mum was classed under the Flora and Fauna Act. Like, it's fucking disgraceful, isn't it? It really is. Makes me blood boil. I know it makes Roz's blood boil too, but thank God we've come a long way, and everyone's treated equally now. And, you know, I remember Mum, back in the early, Mum wasn't allowed into bars, some bars. Women weren't allowed into the public bar of a pub. It was a men's only zone. Haven't we come a long way? Women weren't allowed to, women had to sit out the back and that. I remember in the early 1970s living in a town called Cunnamulla, and Mum and Dad had dragged me and the Gidgee was only really small then, to church. We had to go to church every Sunday. And we were brought up as Roman Catholics. I'm probably the worst Roman Catholic in the world now. But the only time I go to church now is for a bloody funeral or a wedding. But on the way home, Mum and Dad would pop into one of the pubs in Cunnamulla, West Queensland, and we'd have a counter meal. And I remember sitting there as a young 7-8-year-old kid and looking, and there was a little window at the back of the pub with bars on it. And I used to see a set of black arms come through and then passing through alcohol. The Aboriginals weren't allowed in the pub. They weren't allowed to come in the pub. And this is the early 70s, guys. And I remember seeing that as a kid. And I used to sit there thinking, how come them Aboriginal people are getting served at the back of the pub? And here we were, all the white people were in the pub. That shit happened. And I remember it as a kid, guys. That was back in the 70s. Not that long ago, really, is it, when you think about it? We've come a long way. I don't. Everyone says, thanks for your service. No, mate, I volunteered for all three of those jobs. That's something I wanted to do, mate. So no one needs to thank me. I appreciate it, but, mate, I volunteered to join all three of those jobs. I wanted to be in the army from when I was a young kid. And yeah, and something I'm proud of, but I don't expect anyone to say, oh, thanks for your service, Buck. It's a bit of an American thing. But anyway, it's better than, I like the way now that Australians, we get behind our defence force, our military, and used to have a bad, when I was in Townsville in the 80s, guys, civilians hated Army guys back in the 80s, hated us. But I think now that Aussie soldiers have gone overseas, lost their lives, and that the civilians have really embraced the military, and I think it's good to see, and I hope it stays like that. I really do. What's the fishing like up there? 6 knots? I think you're being a smart ass now. It's shite, mate. The fishing is shite. I haven't caught a fish in about 3 years. It's shit. Although, bloke showed me his phone at the gym the other day. He's an Indian guy, and he works with disabled kids and that, and he said, I went out the reef the other day, Buck. He follows the channel too. I went out the reef the other day, and he gets his phone out, and all I could see was these massive nana guy. And I just thought, you smart ass. I'd love to catch a fish like that. And he had a whole boat full of them. So, mate, if you get out the barrier reef, it's good, but fishing in the river and that's not real good, eh? How fast does a cheetah run? They can get over 100k an hour, Steve, I've read. Cheetahs. Tatard Donny is a huge fraud and con man. Lucky Dog 3 over there in the States. I don't understand what that means. Lucky Dog? Dotard Donny. Who's Dotard Donny? Dotard Donny. I don't know if you're talking about, you're talking about the big orange fella, mate. Anyway, we won't go on to American politics. It's a train wreck, isn't it? It really is. Yeah. And if we start talking about American politics, we'll get jammed. YouTube will just knock us on the head, guys. So I'm not going to go there. And it's a very, even I know in America, it's very divided. And the big orange fella, Australia's divided on here. A lot of Aussies love him and a lot of Aussies hate him. So it's like, it's a bit like that here in Australia. But at the end of the day, we just worry about our own. We got enough dickhead politicians down here in Australia, mate, that we got to deal with without worrying about all your dickheads over there. We got an overabundance of them here in Australia, and we need to start weeding them out. Wouldn't it be good to see some good, strong politicians coming through that can make a decision? I always taught one thing in the army: it's better to make the wrong decision than no decision at all. And a lot of these politicians aren't capable of making a decision to save their lives. And if you make the wrong decision, then you take action to make sure it works and rectify it. That's what we got to do. Okay, yeah. Make sure the weather's nice, but there are some islands off the Barra Crab there. I forget the name of them now. So there are some islands out there, and there's one of the boat ramps there's got a map of what they're all called, Lorna. You've probably already seen that one. Pete Drummond's moving out to Charters Towers. Got a good mate out there, Pete Conway. He lives out in the towers. Not as much humidity. Yeah, still gets bloody hot out in the towers, mate, eh? Tell us, Roz's rice recipe. We lost the video. All you do with rice, guys, give it a rinse, get a bit of the starch and that off it. It doesn't matter how much rice you put in the pot. You don't have to go 2 cups and then 4 cups of water. Don't measure it out. Just put rice into a bloody saucepan or your camp oven or whatever. Rinse it and then fill the water up. So if there's the rice, that's the level of the rice. Your water goes to the first knuckle. So if the bottom of my finger is where the rice is at, you fill it up so that the water level is to the first knuckle on your finger. And then what you do is, after you've rinsed your rice, put the water in, bring your rice to the boil, and when it starts coming to the boil, turn it down, put it on simmer. Don't have it, the lid bloody going like that. Put it on simmer, nice low heat, put it on simmer, put the lid on and leave it. Do not stir it. And then when all the water evaporates, okay, take your lid off and you'll know. You can put a bloody chopstick or something down to see if make sure all the water's evaporated, and you'll have nice fluffy rice. So first knuckle, the old first knuckle method. whether you use 2 cups of rice or 10 cups of rice, water to your first knuckle. And obviously, the more rice that's in there, to get it to the first knuckle is the more water you'll have to put in. So the first knuckle method. There you go. That's how you do it. Matty said after his hip operation, 13 days later, and he's walking again. Good stuff, Matty. Take it easy. Don't overdo it. How's the BT held up? Very good. I got the new suspension put in 6 knots. It's got a service in it. I'm going to do my own oil change in a couple of thousand and put her up on the ramps and get under its head. The BT's running okay. It's running well. It did well on the... If I'd have kept towing with it, I probably would have got a tune-up on it to give it some more power. I just felt it lacked a bit of power on hills, the BT. On the straights, it was fine, but uphill and that, I just found it a little bit thing. But anyway, it did the job, and it's going well, mate. I don't need all that power now. I'm not towing anything, mate. Pablo got a new hip 4 years ago. Good stuff. A new hip, fantastic 4 years ago. Nathan's been to the Impy. Yeah, and that's Nathan used to be a school teacher here in Inisfail, a music teacher. Make sure you go on and see Nathan's playing the last post on my Facebook page, guys. Really well done, mate. That was brilliant. I'll grab my bugle down before I go and I'll give you my version of the last post. No, I won't, because I won't be able to keep a straight face. You can't play a bugle while you're laughing. I'll laugh at myself and I won't be able to get a note out. Use the American CBD. All Aussies way too weak. Jack Turtle sculls bottles of it, he reckons. All right. I'll ask the doctor about that, Jack, when I go and see him on the 23rd, mate. I've got to go and see this doctor in Cairns. Reminds that about that closer. Yeah, I'll let you know when the Chiefs are playing down at the Gold Coast, mate. 7th and 8th of March next year. Going to go down with Russ and the Townsville Chiefs and have a boys' weekend down at the Gold Coast and at a Masters Rugby League competition. It'll be good. Catch up with a few of the boys I used to work with. I miss all that, you know. A lot of my mates are down in Townsville now. I'll try and catch up with some of them for a coffee when I go down and see Mum. Yeah, they built them tough back in the day, Mr. Donny. My home's 76, tough as nails. Yeah, I know. Gidgy Gorilla had a house, and it was a fairly new one, and then he rented it out. The amount of shit that went wrong with it, and I said to Ken, this is a fairly new home, mate. It shouldn't have this much shit going wrong with it. Just one thing after the other. The Longest Yard was that movie, yeah. I better get cracking here, guys. No, I don't, Greggy. No, 1983, mate. I was posted to Sydney in 1983. No, I didn't know Tom. Yeah, I know. Should bring the boat to Harvey Bay, take it over to Kingfisher. How good would that be? I always said to Rod, every time we're in Harvey Bay, I go, geez, I wish I had the Renegade down here. Or old Raffaroo, the name of our boat. I wish I had our boat down here. Harvey Bay is such a good place to have a bloody tinny because you're sheltered. Get over on the western side of Fraser there. You're sheltered from the bloody southeasterlies. Absolutely fantastic. And Crazy Dog's down there, and he's told me some of the places he goes to on the west side of Fraser are just magnificent. If I was on death row, what would be my last meal? Or if you could only have one rest of your life, what would it be? Oh, shit, mate. That's a hard one, eh? What would be my last meal? Oh, if it was my last meal in prison, it'd be a leg of lamb and veggies, mate. Roast leg of lamb and veggies with gravy and mint sauce. There you go. That's it. But I do love Mexican food. Steve Wilkes, if you're on, mate, send me over some authentic Mexican food, will you? If you're ever in Townsville, go to Cactus Jack's. Best Mexican around. Kaz keeps raving on about that too. Cactus Jack's in Townsville. Yeah, roast leg of lamb. And I'll tell you what my next cook-up's going to be, guys. I've decided I'm going to do it when I'm off me no-carbs diet, is I'm going to do a boneless shoulder of lamb and veggies in a red wine sauce and that with mushrooms and beans and all this stuff in Jack Turtle's poikie. Turtle, I'm going to dust the cobwebs off the poikie, mate. If you're wondering what a poikie is, it's a South African camp oven, guys. And I'm going to do a boneless, slow-cooked shoulder of lamb with all the trimmings on the side in Jack Turtle's poikie. Jack, that's the next cook-up coming, mate. I'm glad someone asked me that because it just reminded me. I was in the shed the other day and I saw the poikie and went, I'm gonna do a poikie cook-up for Jack Turtle. So that's going to be the next ones. Yeah, Jenny Cameron said that's why they had ladies' lounges at pubs. Women weren't allowed into the main bar. That was men's only, guys. Can you believe that? Yeah. Remember living out in Surat, we had a pet sheep. And Mum would go down the pub. This is in the mid-70s when women were allowed in the pubs by this time. Mum would go down after work. She was a nurse. Go down the pub to have a beer, as you did back in the days in a country town. Go to the local pub. And Mum's sheep used to follow her down and sit outside the pub. And all the people would go, oh, Pam's at the pub because the sheep would be sitting outside. It was like a dog. Mum had a pet sheep. Lammy Bunting's its name was. He used to follow Mum around everywhere. Anyway, he got a bit big and Mum ended up giving him out on a farm. And he wasn't eating. It was he gets shorn and he just went out with all the other sheep in a paddock and got shorn once a year or whatever. So, yeah, he was like a bloody dog. They make good pets, sheep, guys. Kangaroos make good pets. Bloody, yeah. Emus don't. Dad caught a little sick baby emu once. And he was on my lap. This is out in Surat. And there was a mob of emus, and one was lagging behind. Dad said, I don't think he's real good. So Dad got out chasing, caught him, grabbed him, said, well, take him home. We'll look after him, get him back, thing. Anyway, he shit on me lap in the back of the old XY Falcon on the way home to Surat from out in the bush. He shit on me. It was green shit everywhere. He was crook, this poor thing. Anyway, we put him under the house and tried to look after him. He passed away overnight, this little emu. He was sick. And anyway, it was a shame, but he did shit on me. And oh, my God, the windows were down. And Gidgey, if you're on, do you remember that one, mate? Dad said, here, hold him on the way home. I'm holding this. I was only a young kid, 10 or 11, holding this baby emu, and he shit on me lap. Oh, it stink. It was like worse than cat shit. Yeah, the camping event next year. Looking forward to that. It's well under a year now. 2 hours. Has I been on for 2 hours? I know. I'm trying to look for some questions. I'm still on. I'm doing a Phil the Maniac. I said I'd answer all your questions, guys, but there's just too many on. There's 104 still on. I'm going to scroll. I'm down the bottom, guys. You'll be pleased to know I'm down the bottom, and I'm going to go. I know I've probably missed a few questions. I said I'd answer them all. Anyway, hope you had a good morning. I'm going to go and have me lunch now. Roz cooked it at breakfast. It's now lunchtime. That's how long I've been jibber-jabbering. And I think, I don't know, if the weather's all right, we're going to get in the BT50 and go for a drive down to Mission Beach. Roz said, come on, let's get out of the house, go for a drive, grab Rafa, let Rafa have a run on the beach down at Mission Beach and just get out of the house for a few hours while it's not raining. So anyway, thanks for tuning in, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Go Newcastle this I don't know who I'm going for. A bit on the fence with Newcastle, Canberra. Makes it hard when your team's not in the semi-finals. You kind of don't know who to go for. Then I don't really give a shit, to tell you the truth. The Cowboys aren't there. So, but anyway, thanks for coming on today. We've got over 100 on, which is fantastic. Make sure you like and subscribe. Let's see if we can get the channel back up and running to some sort. We're not going to get back to where it was when I threw it in, guys. That's the last thing I want to say. If anyone saved any of the videos from our trip from the 9th of January through till July or when we got home, we had about 45 clips done, guys, and some of them were very, very good. I've only got 4 of them. I cannot recover any more. They're gone. I thought they'd be up in the ionosphere somewhere in iCloud. They're gone. I can't. I've done everything I can possibly do to try and find my old videos from our trip down Queensland, New South Wales, Victoria, into Tasmania and over into South Aussie. Can't find them. If anyone saved them, and you can send me, if you can send someone save some old stuff. Buck, I've got a couple that I saved onto my iPad. If anyone saved our trip from early this year, can you please get onto me and see if you can? Hopefully someone downloaded them. I don't know how you do that. Anyway, I closed the poll. I forgot about the poll. Well, there you go. That's I thought it would be a bit. No, 95. Yes, 5. Wow. I didn't think it'd be that high. I thought no might get up, guys, in this channel. Now, listen, I could go over to a different channel and put the same poll up, and it might be switched the other way. So don't think that this is going to go. But 95 to 5, I'm going to end the poll. Wowee. But hang on. I'm going to just bear with me, guys. Just bear with me. I'm going to ask the other question, which I think should have been, there should have been 2 questions to this. Do you support Indigenous people being, not mentioned, acknowledged? I hope I spelt that right. Me typing's not, and I'll put a question mark at the end of that. This here is not about Indigenous people having the voice to Parliament. There should have been, I think, another one. Do you think our Constitution should recognise Indigenous people in the Constitution, that they were here before, and they were, that we at least recognise that Australia had Indigenous people before 1788 when the first fleet arrived? I think, anyway, let's have a look at that poll, guys. Do you agree with the Constitution recognising Australia had Indigenous people before we got here? This isn't about Indigenous people having a say in Parliament. This has got nothing to do with that. This is just the Constitution recognising Indigenous people. And I don't think Albo's gone the wrong way there. He should have 2 questions on this thing, but it's about the thing. I think this has been rolled into one, which could be a thing. Anyway, we'll go back. I'll keep this poll going for 30 seconds, guys. Just get a general. Well, there you go. Look at this. We're already up to 91, because Albo was on TV the other night and he goes, now we want to acknowledge the Indigenous people in the Constitution. And then he went on about the voice. But it's only one question, guys. Why didn't he have 2 questions on the ballot? Do you agree with Indigenous people being recognised in the Constitution? 89% there. I would vote yes in a heartbeat on that one. I think we should there. And then the next one's on the voice. So maybe he could have had a double banger there. I'll close the poll because I've been on for too long, guys. End the poll. I know that only went quickly, but you get a bit of a gist there. Yes. Sorry, that's the old one. The other one was 89% yes and 11% no. So that flipped around the other way. Maybe, not Alba. Yeah, Albanese. He should have had 2 questions on this thing, but I think there's only the one. And the voice, I don't think the voice is going to get up, guys. I don't think the voice is going to get up. Maybe you should add a double-pronged question there. But anyway, everyone's got an opinion. Opinions are like arseholes. Everyone's got one, guys. We've all got different opinions. I've got opinions. There's people out there that don't agree with my opinions, and that's fine. That's what makes us a great country. We debate something. Hopefully we don't go like America. America's just gone too far. I don't know. They just, to me, it feels like America is like it's about to explode, guys. And it's not going to be bloody nice if it does. I just hope they all stay peaceful over there. And whoever wins the next election, whoever that is, give him a fair go, whoever that may be, no matter what side of the fence on. If he gets in and he gets in fairly, give him a fair go and let him try and bring America back to what it should be, because America's nowhere near where it should be at the moment. There's too much infighting. That's the way I see it anyway. All right, guys, enjoy the rest of your weekend. Thanks for tuning in, eh? We'll catch you again soon. Maybe next Saturday night, or I don't know. I'll have a special guest on next time, eh? if you do want to be a special guest and you've got things you want to say and you want to be part of, send me an email, p.rogers65@bigpond.com, and I'll have you on as a special guest, eh? See ya.